Ooh, let's go. Okay, music down. Good evening. That was Warhammer Dark Omen Chase. Amazing game, by the way. Hello, everyone. Hello. Let's go. Let's go. Today's topic, spicy. Hey, that works. So good to have you here. You got a pretty big channel, don't you? Let's check your channel very quickly. It's awesome to have you here. Absolutely an honor. Let me show. Boom. Here he is. That works. We start with a nice shout out. 823,000 subs. That's awesome. And you make everything, I suppose. You make, let me see. From idea to reality, master the art. Look at that. Is an awesome channel, guys. You've got to check him out. Absolutely. Thank you very much for being here. It's great to have you. I'm going to subscribe right now. And boom. We want to do some collabs with you. Absolutely. Yeah. You say the day, mate. You say the day. Whenever you want. Okay, welcome. Hello, everyone. We are multi-streaming right now. Hello to everyone on Twitch and hello everyone on YouTube main channel, because this, the topic. I got 6 names. I've got 6 names for you. 1 ring to rule them all. And I don't have it. I do not have the 1 ring, but what I do have is my ring that I make myself. This is in collaboration with Viking Jewelry, so the design is mine, the camera is not cooperating. There we go. It's called the Ring of the Noble One, and I'm going to put a link right now. This time I came prepared, my friends. This time I came prepared. So here's the link. If you want to check it out, get your ring, and don't be a muppet. And yeah, I've got more stuff for you today. More links, more stuff, more fun, and 6 names. 6 names. In fact, 7. But the 7th one is secret. So you gotta keep watching. You gotta keep watching if you want to know the 7th name. Because, yeah, here we are. Today's gonna be a great day. I just know it. Today's gonna be a great day. Let me have a look. Let me have a look what you guys are saying. Hello, Divine Favor. Hello, Cristina Di Cali. Let's see. You'd like to go on a dig in the former Roman Empire. Makes sense till any time. Yeah, I would love to do that. Andrezi, greetings from Poland. Ooh, I love Poland. There are a lot of good armorers over there. Appreciate that you like the rings. We have them in bronze for those who are on a budget. Still great. This is bronze. The one I wear is bronze. Then we've got silver. I also own one in silver. Then we have gold, 14 karat, 18 karat, and platinum. Because I'm obsessed with metal. We need to make one in titanium. I'm going to tell the guys. We need to make one in titanium. So that would be nice. That would be nice. And let's see. And we've got a comment. Archaeology is the Chad science. Sincerely, an archaeologist. Appreciate that. I love archaeology, by the way. Archaeology is like, I would say like my favorite would be, I'm more a history guy, of course. But archaeology is fascinating, not only because it's necessary for us to be able to concretely ensure that what we teach when it comes to history is true. Because, you know, you can read ancient historians and they're great. You can read the sources, which is mostly what I do. I dive into the sources like I'm a maniac. But then again, the material evidence really, really binds everything together. It's like the mortar that keeps every brick together and builds a wall. What a metaphor. And I love archaeology. Absolutely. So we've got some names here, my friends. We've got some names. But first name I want to say is Ninja Hamster, because he just subscribed with Prime on Twitch. And I very much appreciate that, because I love Twitch and I love playing. Well, Twitch as a company, not so much. But Twitch as a service, I enjoy it because I get to play games and call it work. So yeah, it's nice. Appreciate that. Thank you for subscribing. Okay, so we've got some names, guys. So let me show you some of the names, because today I'm going to tell you my unfiltered opinion on very, very famous people. And you know me, you can have 50 PhDs, 10 million subs. If I think you're a piece of garbage, I'll say it. And if I think that you're good, I'll say it. Or usually, rather than talking about the person himself, I usually talk about their arguments. I usually attack their arguments. I usually attack their ideas, their opinion. But there are exceptions. Like when the guy the other day called me a Nazi, then it's like gloves off. You know what I mean. But normally, I only attack the person in defense. In defense, that's what I do. But yeah, so we've got a few names here. So I want to start with, as you see on the thumbnail, I divided them in two groups. In fact, let me show the thumbnail so we can discuss this, because we have a lot to say. We're going to watch some of their videos today, and we're going to formulate our own opinions, provide commentary, discuss. But always, even when I disagree, it's not a call to action. It's not a call to attack them. If anything, if I disagree, but I'm still showing their works, it means that I respect their work, right? It's just that I may disagree, and I will still say it. What I don't respect is when people do character assassination attempts. That I don't like. All right, so let me see. And also, of course, all of this connects to what we've been talking about, which is the pyramids, or what's allegedly under the pyramids, because this is when I was awakened to this. Okay, let me show you this. So this, which is my thumbnail here, I had no idea, in the sense that, as you know, I've made some react videos to Joe Rogan, to the Joe Rogan experience. My first video that I did was copyright claimed, but then I asked for a manual verification, and whoever it is, I doubt it's Joe Rogan directly. I think one of his employees lifted it under, I imagine, Joe Rogan's instruction. And so since then, I believe he must have whitelisted my channel, because every time I make a reaction to the Joe Rogan experience, I don't get copy claimed anymore, which of course I appreciate. A similar situation, but even more direct, happened with Oversimplified. In fact, I actually kind of find it funny when sometimes I make a reaction video to Oversimplified, and I get maybe one of their fans that is like, you're stealing their content. I'm like, first, I'm reacting like 20 minutes. It's an hour video, 40 minutes of my stuff, and 20 minutes I take from them. So I think it's highly transformative. But it doesn't matter, because I've got their approval. So I spoke directly with the guy from Oversimplified. They were really cool. They whitelisted me, gave me as an exception, said, we absolutely have no problems with you reacting to our stuff, so it's all good. Now, as you know, I've been reacting to Joe Rogan. I will be reading the chat, but I want to give you the introduction first, and then we read the chat, we talk, you tell me what you think, I'm going to read and everything. But just to give you the introduction. So I reacted to a few Joe Rogan Experience podcasts, and of course, one of these was the one where we had the Clash of Titans, meaning Graham Hancock, who is one of the leading, we could say, figures when it comes to the alternative archaeology camp, which is the camp represented by the YouTubers and individuals and authors on the left. I don't know how connected he is with Jimmy Corsetti, the one in the front. I have no idea. We will check the channel. But I do know that Debunking strongly supports and is very much in favor of Graham Hancock. And then he faced off this gentleman here. His name is Flint Dibble, the most archaeologist-like name that you could ever invent, believe it or not. But yeah, that's his name, because I believe his father was an archaeologist. Like, it runs deep in the family, so it was kind of an inner family joke. I thought it was cool. Anyways, he faced him off, being like the professional archaeologist, and it was a very interesting, so I reacted to it. Now, what's interesting is that, as you see, we've got factions. And these guys are at each other's throat. Like, some of them are a little more relaxed, tend to mostly attack the arguments, occasionally do character assassination. Others are full-on, I'm gonna slaughter your name, and I don't even care type. So, I've interacted with some of them. So let's discuss a little bit. On the blue side of the ring, I don't know what to call it, on one side of the ring, on the eastern quarter, we've got the archaeology team. So regular, traditional archaeology team. We've got Flint Dibble at the top here. He's an actual professor, the way I understand it. Now, of course, you know me. Just because you're a professor or you've got PhDs, it doesn't mean that I'm going to trust what you say. I debunk plenty of professors that push nonsense, but I'm not saying, but then again, he's still a professional, and I should underline that. He is a professional. And so that's him. Then we've got, in the front here, Milo Rossi, who is extremely popular. In fact, I think of all of these gentlemen, he is the most popular. Milo Rossi. I'm just going to say it. Minute Man is his YouTube name. It took me a few days to learn to say that quickly. I had 10 times in a row. Minute Man. You see, I messed up. Minute Man. I can't say it. You know, his surname is Italian. Why am I even bothering? Rossi. Mr. Rossi. And he's got a very popular channel. We'll check him out today. He also recently released a video on the findings under the alleged findings under the pyramids. I'm just going to go right out and say it. I really like Milo Rossi. Okay, I love his content. I love his work. I think it's an excellent creator. I understand that people that belong to the other faction probably hate him, but the same thing applies in the reverse. And one thing I noticed is that whenever I speak about Graham Hancock, the side of the mainstream archaeology that really hates him, the split second that I say even one thing, like for instance, I have disagreed with quite a few things that Graham Hancock said, but there were a few statements that he made that I was like, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Oh gosh, I got hated in the comments because now people just want me to say, oh, he's a fraud, he's disgusting, he's wrong. And I'm like, well, let him speak. It's the first time I ever heard him. I'm not just going to say he's a fraud because you want me to. I need to form my own opinion and use critical thinking, if that makes sense. So I noticed that, yeah, as I say, people are at each other's throat in these two communities, in these two factions. Now, one thing I'm going to do is this. First, I will attack arguments. So, for instance, I just said that I really like Milo Rossi. I think he's awesome. But if he makes a video and I disagree with his statements, I'll say it. But I will be cordial about it. So as long as these gentlemen, whatever faction they are cordial, I will be cordial back, if that makes sense. Okay? And then, and this actually kind of connects also to this side here. I will continue with this, to this side here, because I've had interactions. But anyways, let's continue. I really like Milo Rossi. I'm a little indifferent to Flint Dibble. When it comes to Professor Dave, the gentleman in the middle here is Professor Dave. Now, Professor Dave seems to be, for what I watched, but today we're going to watch a few things together, for what I can see, seems to be a very competent professor, but man, he's a, what would you got, attack dog. Like, I'm just going to say it. I watched a little bit. Today we'll watch more. But this guy attacks in ways that I don't really like. That doesn't mean that I don't like him. I still don't know. Up to this point, I watched a few videos, and I thought, well, the information was really good, very professional. So I have to say that. Plus, I think he speaks Italian, which always gives him a little bonus. I don't know if he sounds American when he speaks, so I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know, because he sounds native. So either he's an Italian who is exceptional at speaking English and lost his accent completely, or he's an American, possibly of Italian descent, who also picked up Italian, because he has quite a lot of videos when he teaches Italian, and I respect that. What I don't like is that I noticed that when he makes his very thorough debunking videos of gentlemen on the other side, he will use some attack tactics that I strongly resent. For instance, accusing people of white supremacy, accusing people of racism, and when I see that, I cringe. So, do I have a problem attacking a racist? Oh, no, but you got to prove it. And do I have a problem attacking an actual white supremacist? No, but you have to prove it. So, at the moment, I'm like, I'm not sure about Dave. So my favorite on the right side here is Milo Rossi, because at least I haven't seen him use tactics that have been used against me unjustly. And therefore, as a natural instinct now, I cringe automatically. Does that make sense? Left side here. So Jimmy Corsetti, I watched only one video of his. So I still don't have an opinion on his content. Of course, we are in the alternative archaeology, as they call it. But he was very, very cordial to me and even shared one of my videos on the pyramids. So when it comes to at least at a human level, I have no problems with Jimmy Corsetti. In fact, he was very nice to me. Maybe I'll agree, maybe I'll disagree. I don't know. I'll have to see. But up to this point, these two gentlemen are in the front because I like how they have behaved and interacted with me. In fact, Milo Rossi even gave me a shout out in his latest video. It's at the end of the video, but he said something really nice. I'll show it, and I very much appreciate that. So far, I appreciate both with how they have conducted. Then we have Didunking. Man, Didunking, I have to say, I respect the beard. The beard is great. This guy, I respect the beard. Now, I know he made a response video to me. I don't know if it would qualify as a debunking, but he made a response video where he disagreed with some of the things I said. And a few members of his audience came to my comment section to attack me for it. And I thought, well, what did this guy say? So I watched the video, but he was very respectful. So I don't know how that happened. But I have to say, with some of his subscribers, I do have a problem. But with him, I don't, because he was very respectful. He said he loves the channel, Metatron channel. And then, of course, I never had direct interaction with Graham Hancock. But that's where we are. So before we start actually watching some of these videos and give you my opinions on their content and how the information they share, I do want to read what you guys have been saying a little bit. So let's read the chat. But that was the introduction. All right, so let me see. Let's see what we have got. Hello from the Noble Ones. Hello, Jeremy May on Twitch. I'm going to jump around between Twitch and YouTube. Let's see. Logical fallacies. Yeah, logical fallacies are always a red flag. So I'll be looking for those when I watch these gentlemen's videos today with you. We will look for logical fallacies, absolutely. People have been using so many with me that I'm starting to become a little bit of a connoisseur. Yeah. So we'll see if poisoning the well, strawman fallacies, fallacy from authority. There are so many. Shifting the goalpost. There are so many fallacies that people use. And so we'll have to see. All right, let me see the comments on YouTube. Let's see. Just don't let grandma near archaeology. I don't know what that means. Let's see. Darwell writes, Corrado Malanga. Oh, I've already made a video on that guy. I don't trust a word that guy says. A few of his fanboys were really mad at me in the comments, but don't care. Let's see. Look into the Younger Dryas. I have been looking into the Younger Dryas after I started getting interested in this whole discussion. I might make my own video at one point, or I might make a collaboration with. I'm open, by the way, with collaborating with any of these, particularly the four in the front, since they are the YouTubers. The two in the back, Graham Hancock and Flint Dibble, they're not YouTubers. So I could have any as a guest. I mean, I'm not that big, though. I'm not Joe Rogan, so I don't think they would even care. But when it comes to the other four, they are YouTubers. They are content creators. I'll be happy to do some work together, maybe discuss, have a conversation. I don't usually call them debates because I'm not a debater, but conversations, why not? Yeah, someone is spelling minute man. I know, for some reasons I have trouble saying that. Nicole Bookish says, Milo Rossi's book is great. I read it last year. I'll have to order one copy. Just like I need to order a copy from of the book by Tasting History with Max Miller. I mean, I owe him at least to buy his book since I have reviewed a few of his videos. I should do that. Tracy says, Milo Rossi is a good presenter. I absolutely agree with you. Yeah. Form your own opinion. Exactly, Staxon. That's how you do it. That's how you do. I need to first listen to the. It's like I'll be honest with you. There are a few professors that when I see them, I can recognize my own bias, not because of the way they look, but the way they they pose themselves and begin the way to share their facts. And I'm like, ooh, is this one of those? But I'm like, no, get out of your head. Let's just watch and form my opinion. Then they do push the messages that are political. And when the messages are political, it means that they don't care about lying about it. That's why I have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with people having a strong political opinion. You're entitled to your own stronger political opinion. And as you know, my audience is very mixed. I've got centrists, I've got right-wingers, I've got left-wingers, I've got it all. Like the other day, I saw people in the comments, and one was like, I'm an ultra-conservative. The other guy, I'm a communist. And I'm like, goodness gracious, guys, don't, you please start the flame war. It's great for me. But I'm saying it's fine. You know, you can have your own opinion. You're all welcome here. We can talk. I will probably disagree with, depending on how far on one side or the other you are. I'm usually in good terms with people on either side, as long as they are not extremists and toxic. When toxicity enters the picture and people, because of tribalism, start lying, that's when I'm going to have a problem with it. But we're not here to talk politics. We are here to talk about, you know, having a bias. And so I always try to listen. And then if it is one of those professors that uses their PhDs to push a message regardless of lying, then your PhD means nothing at that point. Nothing. So there is that. Okay. Let's see. But if someone has a PhD and is an expert and they do their job right, then yes, you should listen to them. It's a case by case, isn't it? Spectral says, I'm following you on Twitch, bro. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. We are trying to grow the community. We're at 4.2K. So hopefully we got a super chat. Thank you, Maworth, for the donation. Hi, Metatron. So glad you're getting into this topic. Really value your perspective and analytical approach. Look into Uncharted X regarding the engineering precision of ancient vases found in Egypt. Vases, of all things. That's interesting. Well, I'll copy paste the name of the channel. I've got my little document here. I just heard the door. All right, cool. Maybe it was an alien. Maybe it was one of the Greys or the reptilians. Oh, also, I have a question about, because someone is mentioning my volume. How is my volume? Because I reduced it, the intake of my microphone, simply because I don't want I don't want you to hear the air conditioning, because the air is on, but I don't know if it's too low, so do let me know. Did you see the deserted castle in Australia that was recently identified as a Roman bridge fort? No, I haven't. Rome? Wait, in Australia? How is there something Roman in Australia? I don't get it. I mean, I will Google it. I'll Google anything, but as far as I know, the Romans never made it to Australia nor America, since some people, believe it or not, even in the Italian history YouTube space, have been pushing that. The Romans in America. Yeah. So that, it's nonsense, by the way. I wish. Man, I wish. Okay, let's see. No, I haven't seen Resident Alien. I don't know what that is. Sounds good, though. Let's see. Take it up 20%. If I take it up, though, you will hear the air conditioning. You will hear a constant shh. So I'm trying to avoid that. You say you sound fine. Someone says very low. Well, maybe try and increase the volume on your side, because, as I say, right now I've got minus 12.4 decibel. So it's not too low. But at least you're not hearing the mess that my air, because it's hot, so I can't turn it off. Odish asks, Metatron, how do you feel about the Italian Prime Minister flirting with J.D. Vance? Are you talking about Meloni? Is that what you're talking about? I thought she was flirting with Elon Musk. Anyway, why would that surprise me? They're all right-wingers. As I say, I'm very centric, but on some things I do lean right. Absolutely, particularly in the traditional stuff. But on some economic aspects, I do lean left from an American perspective, so I'm a little bit... But I do have firm beliefs. I'm not a fence-sitter, if that's people think, but still. Yeah, I just don't like extremism, that's all. That's all. Max Miller for the win. Max Miller always for the win, absolutely. Let's see. Ooh, Terrence Howard. Do you remember the whole Terrence Howard situation? Do you remember that? Man. Yeah, I thought that not that I'm a mathematician, but I mean, oh, and talking about mathematics. So do you remember Alec Gunter, the guy that made the video where he called me a fascist and a white supremacist and a racist and all the rest? Well, he made a response, and I'm trying to not make a response to a response, and because I know that a lot of you are not here for the drama, you're here for the content. I get it, but I don't know if I can resist, guys, because it's just too good. So it's too funny. It's not even for the views. It's because, well, it's also for the views, but it's because it's funny. It's funny. So he made a whole hit piece, right? Well, not a hit piece, but a whole thing when he was like, well, Metatron gets stuff wrong when it comes to history. So he was trying to, kind of poisoning the well, if you will, trying to say, oh, you shouldn't listen to Metatron because he gets stuff wrong. And you know what he says? I swear, 15 seconds after in the very section where he's trying to tell his audience, and possibly mine, oh, Metatron is not reliable when it comes to history, Alec stated, he was talking about Hannibal Barca, and called him a Roman. Guys, I don't know if I can resist. Leave me 2 slots. I post 30 times a month. Leave me 2 slots for drama. And if you don't like it, skip it. But it's just too funny. It's just too funny. Hannibal, a Roman? And you are debunking my history? Oh my gosh. Hannibal, a Roman. Ooh, but yeah. So that happened. Anyways, very, 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 very reliable, I guess. Very reliable. Dylan says you and Dan would have good chemistry. Dan seems like a fun guy to have a beer with. And then someone is asking, let me see, 1 second. I'm gonna make that video. I just can't resist, guys. I'm gonna make that video also because he said because you know how I pushed the idea that there is only one truth, and I'm gonna make that into a T-shirt, and I'm gonna write a book called "There Is Only One Truth." Well, he was pushing the idea of, I imagine, your own truth. You can have my truth, your truth, and all that nonsense, which I do call nonsense, and then to prove that, he said, if for you 2 + 2 = 5, then that's your truth, and if that truth takes you to the moon, then it's fine. Meaning if you can use it to engineer science. And I'm like, I can't believe this guy. Yeah, 2 + 2 = 4 will take you to the moon. 2 + 2 = 5. You can be free to have your own truth, and that's in meaning that you can say it, but that rocket is going to explode. I don't even care. So I don't know if I can resist, guys. It's just too funny. I think I will make it. It's just, yeah. Just let me do like 2 drama videos per month and 28 videos that are not drama. But you gotta give me the 2 because it's comedic relief at this point. Anyways, let me see. Hannibal the Roman, I know. Hannibal the Roman. He's like, it's just like a Roman guy. Roman guy, Hannibal. Ooh. Secondhand embarrassment, absolutely. Absolutely. That's the guy who's debunking my historical competence. Not that I don't mean that I never get anything wrong. Everyone does, okay? But someone who says it is not, you're not the guy to do it. I hope that people can one day debunk me without the ad hominem attacks and debunk my arguments. It has happened, by the way, a couple of times, and I removed those videos. It happened, I think, twice. But these were people that one was respectful, one was a piece of... Anyways, they were still right, and so I removed those videos because I don't want to misinform, and that's it. I'm good when it happens. Great. Let me read. Let's see. Thank you very much for the donation. I need to look at the super chats. 1 second, guys. 1 second. The Xenoist. Thank you for the donation. What's your favorite fallacy? For me, it's the Mott and Bailey fallacy, absolutely. But the fallacy is a close second. What's the fallacy? Because even if you suck at arguing, that doesn't mean you're wrong. Of course, yes, that's true. In fact, that's why for me, debates are not a way, they're very entertaining, but they're just a way to see who's the most skilled debater. Not just because someone wins, it doesn't mean that they have the truth. It just means that they were good at debating and defending it, and they were great at exploiting their opponent's weak spots. That's it. So it's good. I used to watch both political debates. Like, I used to enjoy watching Destiny versus Ben Shapiro, although I stopped watching Destiny after he started making insane statements. after Trump's assassination, because you can be whatever you want, but when you make statements like the ones he made, I'm like, you know what? Plus the whole situation that he had with the lawsuit, I'm like, you know what? No. But I liked the way he handled Ben Shapiro, whom I think is an excellent debater. And of course, those who hate him will say, "What did you just say? Ben Shapiro is an idiot." Well, if he's an idiot, he wouldn't be a freaking millionaire. I don't think you can hate his politics. You can hate him directly. And trust me, there are people that I can't stand, but I will still say it if I think that they have a skill. And definitely both Ben Shapiro and Destiny are better debaters than me. So I used to watch that, but and then I watch Alex O'Connor, who is a fantastic debater. He's an atheist, and of course I'm a Christian, but he's a fantastic debater, and I love watching him debate people. And often he debates Christians. He often does, and there are times where he has debated a Christian, and even though on the fundamental level, I agree with a Christian, still I thought that O'Connor won the debates, and the Christian was being disingenuous, and that's just what it is. It happens. I don't remember the name of the guy, but it's just, it happens. So yeah, I enjoy watching debaters, and maybe one day I'll try to debate, but you have to prepare yourself. If you think for a moment that just because you can make good arguments on a video, that means that you can be a good debater, then you will be annihilated by professional debaters who are really skilled at not only immediately recognizing the techniques used and fallacies used by the other side, but they have experience and they know how to do it on the fly. And on the fly is one of the reasons why, however, debates are not good when you're there to learn the truth. Because if you're there to learn the truth, remember that even though debaters are well prepared, often they have to think very quickly, which means they don't have time to go and review and double check and triple check the data and make sure that what they're stating is actually 100% correct. And that means that even if they win, you shouldn't go home and think, okay, so that side had the truth. No, it's just, wow, that guy was great at debating. Another super chat. Thank you, Sir Boredom. All three people for the alternative archaeology crowd went on a smear campaign against Flynn Dibble after he embarrassed Graham with facts and data. Yeah, they both do it, though. I mean, did you watch? I agree that happened. And there were some accusations when it comes to Flynn Dibble's cancer, because he had to battle cancer before he... I don't think it was like a life-threatening situation, but he did have serious health threats, and yeah. And then that's the reason why it took a year for him to engage with Graham Hancock. And I know that some people did accuse him of faking the cancer, but that's something that you can't make that accusation unless you have the medical data in your hand. Because if you're wrong, then that's going to be a big deal. So that's true. You're right. But then on the other side, what happens is that if you today we'll watch a little bit of Professor Dave's video, and to me it looks like he's doing the same. Now maybe he has a point though, so I'll watch the video. I'm open-minded, but yeah, they attack each other, and that's why I say of all these creators, my favorite is Milo Rossi, because he seems to be the most, how can I put it? Maybe decent is a good word. I'm not saying the others are indecent, though. I just say that he seems to be like less angry about it. Does that make sense? Oh gosh. But yeah, here we are. Excellent question by Satori-sama. Metatron, maybe a little unfunny as a question, but what do you do when you catch yourself getting more extreme in political views, like you can't muster empathy for one side or something like that? Well, I think it's important, as I say, that's why every time people accuse me of being a fence-sitter, I'm like, I'm not a fence-sitter, my positions are very definite, and even on controversial matters. But what I do is that I always make sure that if you see that you're starting to having a desire to hide the truth when it goes against your faction, and then you do not accept it when someone else on the other side, you hate their guts, but you notice, okay, what they said here though It seems to be true. If you dismiss it a priori, then it's a possibility that you're being radicalized. And in that case, you don't have to forfeit your positions. If you're a conservative, you're a conservative. If you're a liberal, you're a liberal. But at least you might need to sort of breathe, take a step back, and look at the facts. Because becoming extreme is a problem, because then you will become extremely toxic. And toxicity doesn't help anyone. You still have to be firm, though. If you think that the other side is pushing something that is dangerous, ideologically speaking, you should attack it. But I'm just saying, don't go to a point where you start lying about it, because then I think you've gone too far. But that's just me. I'm not like the ultimate authority on how to be a moderate, okay? It's just me. 100% truth, absolutely. Let's see. Yeah, I saw that. Temp writes, Milo mentioned and complimented you in a recent video. Yeah, I saw it. In fact, why don't we start with that? I'm going to read the latest super chat. Then we're going to jump onto, we'll check out we'll check out Milo Rossi's channel. And I want to show you the part where he mentioned me, also because the way he mentioned me, I thought it was very nice. I was not expecting that, so that was nice. But before we do that, let me read this super chat. Thank you, Matt OG. Man, OG. Appreciate that. 2 + 2 = 4 will take you to the moon. 2 + 2 = 5 will make you miss the moon and die frozen in space with a fuel-less rocket. Yeah, I mean, the reality is, I agree. And the thing is, 2 + 2 = 5 will not even be able to do anything. Like, there is, it's just, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know how your truth, my truth even works, because it defies any forms of basic logics. I mean, there are some things when we don't know what the truth is, and so my opinion will be that the Romans did this, and then your opinion will be, no, it wasn't the Romans, it was the Greeks that introduced that, and another person will say, no, it was the Egyptians, you're all wrong. Okay, it's not that there are three truths. Man, that was difficult as an Italian to say. There is only one truth, and two of us are wrong. It's just that we don't know which one it is. And so, yeah, we have our own approach to it. But the truth is still one. And there might be some overlap. Sometimes it's not black and white. There might be some overlap. Maybe I was wrong 80%, but 20% was right. Like, it's complex, academic discourse like that. But the fact is that those are not three separate truths that should all be respected as, oh, but yeah, they're all equal. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. These headphones are white. Now, whether it offends you for political reason, or whether you don't like that, or whether you see it differently because you're colorblind, or whether, although colorblindness doesn't affect white, but whatever, or whether you want to state, no, it's red and that's my truth, great, you can say it, and you should always be free to say it. Still white, though. So that's how it is. Thank you, Elizabeth, for being a member for 8 months. I really appreciate your commitment. Had to switch from Twitch. I liked the stream in the Discord and tagged Milo. Thank you. I wasn't able to defend you during Premiere chat due to my tiny human issues. Not a problem. Don't worry about it. Appreciate the thought. Thank you for that. They're clearly blue, says Popona. Hey, I respect your freedom to say it. Let me tell you this much. I wouldn't incarcerate you for saying it, even if I disagree with you. So there is that. Exactly. White is the absence of color. Black is the presence of all colors. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. What did I miss? Asks Dark. Oh, just a little introductory thing, but we're going to jump into channels now. And thank you, Chips, for subscribing with Prime on Twitch. That's very much appreciated. Sorry. Never hate your enemies. Irrationality will get you killed every time. Irrationality is really bad, yes. Whether you want to hate your enemies or not is up to you. I mean, some people do deserve some hate. Although then again, sometimes I feel like I prefer indifference towards enemies, because hatred will consume you and poison you. So I will be like, you're nothing to me. You don't exist. You're not even worth it. I prefer doing that over hatred, and then build upon that and have, like, I don't know, an amicable situation, all the way up to respect, all the way up to whatever it is. But that's just me. Do you watch Bright Insight, Jimmy Corsetti? Okay, so I've only watched Jimmy Corsetti once, but I don't have an opinion on his content. But he did mention my. I'll show you. Let me show you, so that we can see the names. All right. So let's go on my Twitter first. Also, you should come and follow me on Twitter because it's fun, and I tag people whenever I make statements and they are strong. I tag them. So yeah, I'm definitely you. You can call me obnoxious if you want and arrogant, but I'm no coward. I will tag them right off the bat. So this is my Twitter, and we will talk about this as well because I just made my first gaming documentary. I'll give you the link in a second, but this is my Twitter. I post armor-related stuff, and then I post alien-related stuff. Now, this is like one at a time. This is a great thumbnail, though. I made it myself. I'm quite proud of it. Anyways, as we keep going, there was the whole situation with Mr. Chris Leto that he claimed to have debunked me. I responded, then he made another response, that he was respectful on that one. So I don't have any personal problem with him as of now. Oh, and by the way, on my latest video, when I translate, which video is this? It's the one about the pyramids, and YouTube gave me a reptilian humanoid, and I was just asking how the pyramids were built, and YouTube slapped me a community note saying reptilian humanoid. Now, I don't know what's more funny. YouTube, and I don't talk about aliens on that video, I just talk about workers versus slaves. So I don't know what's more funny. YouTube automatically connecting the idea of the pyramids being built with reptilians, or if YouTube thinks I'm wearing a skin suit. I don't know, but they responded, by the way. They responded. I have it here. This is good. Look, Team YouTube, I don't know how they do it. The moment even you indirectly with no tag meant, boom, they see it. And they say, here to help. Looks like you're referring to an information panel. This usually happens to videos related to topics that are more prone to misinformation. And then, great. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, sure. I just thought it was funny because I wasn't talking about the aliens. I was not talking about aliens. Oh my gosh. Let's see. I'll read the super chats. Just give me 1 second. Oh yeah, someone even turned me into a reptilian. Will you look at that? Do reptilians have yellow eyes? I don't know about that, guys. I'm expecting precision here. So, I was talking about, let me see, there we go. So yeah, I was talking about all of this situation, and then I noticed that there we go. So we were discussing the debunking video made by Mr. Leto, so I made this post. Note this. I responded publicly to the debunking video made by Leto Files on my breakdown of the conference about the findings underneath the pyramids of Giza. I'm also interested in hearing your opinion, the Project Unity, of this breakdown. So I'm talking about Jay Anderson, who is person number 7, the one I told you I was going to tell you about. Now, why am I asking him to give me his opinion on my debunking video of the debunking video made by Leto Files? There is a reason. I'm not going to disclose the reason just yet because I want to give him time to respond and give me said opinion or what he thinks about this. And possibly what he thinks. In fact, I'm going to say it now publicly. If you're watching, Jay Anderson, I'm going to say this publicly. What's your opinion on my interaction with Leto Files? And most importantly, what is your official public opinion on my translation of the conference in Italian made by Corrado Malanga, Filippo Biondi, and Armando May? I'm very interested in hearing your opinion on that. I'll give him a few days. If he doesn't respond, I'll make a dedicated video. And then, as you see, I tagged Jimmy Corsetti, and I said, you might like this. Why did I tag Jimmy Corsetti? I tagged him because, I mean, I don't know how quickly he posts. And as I say, Jimmy Corsetti is at war with Minute Man. At the moment, they were both very cordial to me, so I don't know, I don't want to put myself in between that war. You fight away. You can do all the Hadoukens and then sure you can that you want. Great. I can say round 1 fight for you if you want. That's between them. Whatever. But he did post my video. Let me see if I can find it, because he posts a lot. Goodness gracious, he posts a lot. Maybe I should learn from Jimmy Corsetti when it comes to the amount of posts. But I assure you he did. Like, even if I can't find it now, he did share my video. And I think that gave it a reasonable boost, so I am appreciative of that. There we go, look. He says, if you're interested in more information on the alleged Giza pyramid discovery, this video by Pure Metatron is a must-see. He watched the entire 4-hour presentation in Italian to get to the bottom of the claims, and it's genuinely wild. And this tweet of his got 55,000 views. So, this video hit almost 500,000 views, but I have to admit that possibly him mentioning it did help. So I appreciate that. Thank you, Jimmy Corsetti. Isn't it funny that they both have, Rossi and Corsetti, both have Italian names? you never know. Maybe, hey, maybe there is a conspiracy behind that. I don't know. It's possible, but we'll have to see. All right, let me check your super chats, and then we're going to move. On to Minute Man. But let's check your super chat first, because I don't want to be disrespectful. I want to read a few of your comments, and then we continue on our quest, because today's going to be a long one, my friends. Today's going to be a long one. All right, Elizabeth Calvert, thank you for the donation. You should reach out to Milo to collab. Oh, I would love to, but he's the bigger channel. He has got more than twice, 2.5 times my subscriber base. So I think it's kind of poor etiquette for me to tell him, hey, let's collab, because of course it would be more beneficial for me. So if he wants to do a collaboration on any topic, I'll be more than happy to do it, of course. But I'm not going to kind of push it like that, because I don't think he's going to gain much from it. I am the one who's going to gain from it. I linked your translation video that he used in his to him in the Discord. Thank you, Elizabeth. Appreciate it. Back to Twitch. Purple Moose. Very cool. So you're Purple Moose. I appreciate that. And Gen X says, Gen X Cynic, thank you for the donation. My gas gauge is broken, and I believe I have a full tank of gas, and I'm unaware that my wife drove the car all the day before. I will get stranded alongside the road when it runs dry. I haven't got a clue what that means, but if you're in danger, please make sure you're safe, whatever that was. Metatron skin suit confirmed, asks St. Nicholas. I don't know, man. It's a pretty good skin suit, though. I think my skin is looking good for a 42-year-old man. Let's see. Yeah, Metatron allegedly speaks Italian. We never know. Yeah, we had 20,000 subs to 1 million. That's great. All right, let me double check that there aren't any other super chats. Then we'll read regular chats, and then we'll also check Twitch, of course. We'll do. But the air conditioning stopped, so I need to lower the temperature. Be right back. Enjoy the chair. I'm already sweating, so probably after the live stream, I'm going to have to go shower again. But it is what it is. I'm not giving up on red, because today I'm wearing red in honor of Mario, Super Mario. And I'll tell you why in a second. Okay, so I can't hear you above my AC, says June Wong. So is my voice too low? I hope not. And Zoloff, hey Metatron, newer to the channel. Thank you. Good to have you here. Love your content. It's so refreshing. Just wanted to ask, how long have you been growing your hair out? You make it look easy. Thanks, man. Oh, gosh. How long? 5 years? 6 years? No, actually less than that, because my hair was very short when I met my wife. And so maybe 5 years. And where are we right now? Let me see. Where are we? We are over here. Yeah. So without pulling it, that's where we are. 5 years, yeah, give or take. Thank you. So, but I don't do anything really. I mean, I do, well, yeah, I guess I wash it and I brush it, but that's it. I'm not like someone who goes like nuts with, I don't know, I'm a little Neanderthal about it. Don't know what to tell you. So, Boridon, I read it. Okay, so making sure. I think I read all of them. Yeah, okay. There is no such. Oh yeah, hey you. Thank you for the donation. There is no such thing as misinfo regarding the pyramids. We can have any theory that we want. It's all unprovable based on the scientific method. Well, I hope that. To be honest, they should just dig. They should just dig, because you can have all the theories in the world, but if you dig, and I know that the Egyptian government, everybody keeps telling me they're never going to allow it. Yeah, I'm still going to say dig though, because I wish that they would, and I don't know why. Because if they did dig, and there is high-tech stuff like some people claim. I'm skeptical, but if there is, then wouldn't that create like an enormous push in tourism? I don't know. Who brewed better beer, ancient Egypt or the Incas? My money's on ancient Egypt. All right, thank you for the super chats, guys, and the support. Let's read one comment each from Twitch and from YouTube a few times, and then we get back. Metatron said, I need your advice. Should I buy 10 or 20 Sisters of Avalon for my High Elf army? Oh gosh, I don't know. I don't know the meta anymore. I mean, last time I played Warhammer Fantasy was like in freaking either 8th edition or I tried the 9th unofficial. I don't know how it is these days. I would have to reread the thing. But then again, I'm not the best person to ask, because whenever I play Warhammer Fantasy, which I still do, whenever I play Warhammer Fantasy, I play for fun. So sometimes, like with the Bretonnians, I will field 2 units of men-at-arms, and everybody was telling me, why are you doing that? Just don't do that. Just do Knights of the Realm. Nobody plays them. They're not viable. I'm like, I don't care. They look good. They're infantry. They've got big shields. So like, I'm not the guy to ask when it comes to that. I'm sorry. As a 40-year-old, I'm jealous of the skin suit's hair since mine is thinning. Sorry about that, Purple Moose. Let's see. Is it just me or is it very quiet? All right, I'll try and increase it a little bit then. How is it now? How is it now? You're probably hearing a little bit of the air conditioning though. I hope you don't mind. I'll remove it later then. Let me know, because I've increased it quite a lot. We're only at -2 decibel now. You say perfect? Oh, someone says my ears. So is it too loud? Much better? All right, we'll keep it like this. For the actual video, I will work on the volume in post-production when I make a jump cut version of this. Some people say too much though. Goodness gracious. And people say perfect. All right, I'll just do, there we go. I'm not gonna touch it now. So if you think it's too much, you'll have to lower it on your end, guys. All right, so what else? I thought I was going deaf. Oh, come on, you're exaggerating. You're trolling me. Let's see. Metatron isn't a reptilian. I agree with that statement on YouTube. Let's see. Metatron has the most magnificent mane of hair. I appreciate that. Thank you. Hey, as long as it stays. My dad did lose his hair, but he lost it very early. Like, he lost it comparatively 4 years ago from my perspective. So when he was 38, he already had like lost his hair. So maybe my mom's genetics helped me push that one further. It's possible that I'll still lose my hair, but as long as it's there, I'll keep it. Hey, watch me turn it into a samurai hairstyle if that happens. Anyway, someone says hi, chair. That's cool. Much love from Romania. Hey, Savati. Savatie. I don't know how to read your name, but Cefac. All right, I think I read quite a few comments. That work says, don't listen to them. Your voice sounds crisp and clear. I see. Well, that's good. It's good to hear. It's good to hear. It also depends, I think, on what you're using. I love the Romanian flag, by the way. I don't know why, but the combination of... It's probably like the blue and yellow part that I really like. It's very similar. If you think about it, it's similar to the French one, but better. Because the yellow gives it a touch. It's just me. Yeah, exactly. Erinia says Metatron is on the side of truth. Well, let me tell you this much. I'm a truth-centric. I'm truth-centric and a truth supremacist. That's what I am. Let's promote just playing for fun. Absolutely, Baron. We should always play for fun. I agree. Talking about fun, guys, I've got to show you this. I've got to show you this. So, there we go. Romania, you are yellow French. I think they're more like blue Italians. to be honest, because Romanian, the first time I heard Romanian, I thought it was like a regional dialect of Italian, because it sounded like some regions have, like, maybe I shouldn't use the word dialect, I mean regional languages. Rather than standard, it sounded closer to some of the regional varieties, believe it or not. I love Romanians. Every time I met a Romanian, it's great. We have a great time. It's actually kind of funny because with Romanians, at least in my experience, whenever you meet a Romanian, it's like you skip the whole "we don't know each other" part. You just skip it. You just talk to each other like, yeah, have a drink, yeah, great, bread and this. At least in my experience, that's how I would describe a Romanian. All right. So I need to show you this before we jump into Milo's video, because I'm going to put a link. I made my very first full gaming documentary. Took some time, guys, so I really appreciate if you could check it out. And I'm going to post it here on the links. And I think it's good. It's like my very first high production video for my gaming channel, and it's a documentary dedicated to Luigi, not Mario, Luigi. And I'll show you very briefly what I'm talking about, and then we continue our discussion. So if we go to, one second, if we go to Metatron's Protectorate. I misspelled my own channel's name. Boom, there we go. So it's this one here. It's called What You Thought You Knew About Luigi Is Wrong. And you remember it wrong. And it's a 12 minutes and 55 highly dense video. Like, I put a lot, but it's fun. It's light, in fact. It's dense, it's packed with information, but it's light. I it took a lot of time to research, to produce it, to record it. I did all the footage myself. I edited it myself, except for like some gaming, because for a game that I couldn't boot, but I put all the links for whatever that I use that is not mine. And I think it's good. And if this one does well, and at the moment it's #1, like, it's looking really, really good on the channel. And if this goes well, I'll make a second documentary dedicated to Link from The Legend of Zelda, and a third documentary dedicated to Heroes of Might and Magic, and then we go into Skyrim again. So it would be great if you could check it out. I would really appreciate. I really think it's worth it. Put me to the test. If you don't like it, don't subscribe, don't even give it a like, don't interact. But if you do watch it and you think, man, this was actually really good, then I would appreciate a subscribe and a share. Thank you. All right, so let's go into Mini Minute Man, shall we? All right, so I think I said it right. Mini Minute Man. Yes. All right, so here we are. Massive content creator, Mini Minute Man, 2.5 million subscribers. Let's read his own description, which is what I always do, rather than describing people. I like reading how they describe themselves. Archaeology educator, environmental scientist, author, Google debunker, humane 2022, I don't know what that means. You guys know what that means? 2.5 million on YouTube and 2 million on TikTok. Man, that's impressive. To have success to that level, not on one platform, but on 2 platforms, is something that I will always respect, because goodness gracious, it took forever to even hit 1 million. And as a almost 1 million subscriber channel, my views are not as high as I would want them to be. So yes, I reached it, but I wouldn't say that I'm being as effective as I could have been. But when it comes to him, it's clearly a situation where everything works, because 4 days ago, and it's the one about the pyramids, we're going to watch a little bit. So this one here, he made this one, excellent views. Yeah, his views are great. His views are great. So, and I'm very happy for him, because I think he deserves it. Excellent work. Is that? Oh, for a moment I thought it was Dark Souls. Dark Roots. Cool. Is that his own... I think it's his own movie or something. I don't know. Anyways, let me show you where he... there is a part where he actually mentions me, and I wanted to share it with you. All right. So let's go. There he is. And it's at the very end. Before the Patreons, I guess. Is it here? Let me see.
laundry or doing your dishes, why don't you check out another one of my videos? If you're interested in some real fascinating hidden archaeology, why don't you check out my video on the Great Circle Earthworks? And feel free to share this video with any friends that you feel might get a kick out of it as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you all very much for watching this video. I'd like to give a huge thank you to my patrons on Patreon who make it possible. As they say, patrons get early ad-free access to all of my videos, and all of their names will be in the credits of this video as a small token of my appreciation. If you'd like to become a patron, link to that in the description. Ladies and gentlemen, remember to stay curious, stay inquisitive, and most importantly, remember, don't believe everything you read in Italian.
Oh. Don't believe everything you read in Italian. It is somewhere here. I know I saw it. It might not be the easiest thing to find. And I'm pretty sure I saw it. Unless he removed it. But I don't think he did. I'm pretty sure I saw it. Do you guys remember where it is? It's towards the beginning? Is it? I don't think it is at the beginning, mate. I think it was towards the end. Flint. Oh, by the way, I did watch the what is it called? Piers Morgan episode where they were all invited. I watched that, and I thought it was interesting. And believe it or not, that was the first time that I saw Jay Anderson, and he actually gave me. I had a good impression of him. I thought like, yeah, this guy. I like how he speaks. But now I'm back to neutral. I went from, I think I like this guy, back to neutral, and I'll wait his opinion. If he gives it, my position might deteriorate when it comes to him in the upcoming future. Okay, if I can't find it, just believe me that he did, and I'll tell you, paraphrase what he said. I just didn't want to paraphrase, but I will see if it's here. Once again, unless it was removed, but I hope not. Let me see. I thought it was really at the very end. Because, you know, professional YouTubers prepare these things beforehand. But here I am. Your boy Metatron. I know he did. I had a mild panic attack before we had. Really. Let me see. I can't find it. It's here somewhere, again, unless he removed it, but I don't think he did, because on the same section he was talking about Flint Dibble, so it would be strange that he removed both at this point. It would be kind of strange. No, but I don't think he did. I think I just can't find it for some reasons. We're going through it with a comb. We're going through it with a comb, ladies and gentlemen, because I saw it. You know what's funny? The reason why I keep looking for it is because I'm like, am I going mad? Did I dream it? Yeah, he mentioned me because of the translation, exactly. Yeah. Because he must have watched the video that where I provided the translation of that horrible conference. Because I'm going to double down on that. The conference is terrible. And people now have been accusing me that I'm definitely in the cover-up, paid by the government, paid by the reptilians to hide the truth from the masses. Whatever. I'm like, I'd like to know, let me know who's the one paying so I can send them my bank account, bank information, and then maybe we can get paid, because, you know, I might as well get paid since people already accuse me. Oh, 1939. Thank you. You're the man. 1939, is it? Let's see.
In Italian. As you can see, I've been fully naturalized as an American, where I can proudly say I only speak one language. And so again, if you want to learn more about this actual study and, you know, fill yourself out on it further, which I highly suggest you do, I really recommend you look at some of the videos from my colleagues. They're excellent. There's another one that I forgot to mention earlier. There's a great video by the YouTuber Metatron, who is a native Italian speaker who went through this whole press conference and is able to boil out a lot more of the juicy information. So I really recommend that you check that out too. There'll also be a link to that in the description. Thank you, Metatron. Fucking great video. Okay, anyway.
Thank you, Milo Rossi. Really appreciate that. You see, I thought I didn't read it. I didn't freaking... so, of course, as I was saying before, the fact that someone this big in the space mentions my video is one of the reasons why I think the video exploded the way it did. So I'm very appreciative of that. But one thing that I really liked that he said, note how he introduces Look.
really recommend you look at some of the videos from my colleagues. They're excellent. There's another one that I forgot to mention earlier. There's a great video by the YouTuber Metatron, who is a native Italian speaker who went through this whole press conference and is able to boil out a lot more of the juicy information.
So I noticed he used the word colleagues, and I believe he mentions colleagues again later on when he puts me on one side and Flynn Dibble on the other, and then he says my colleagues. I really appreciate that because I'm no archaeologist. I'm no archaeologist. I'm a history enthusiast. People do use the word historian. For me, they call me a YouTube historian. I never really use the word historian to describe myself, but simply because the way I interpret historian is extremely high. So to me, a historian is, well, you need to be like one of the major, really the major people in the world that are really putting. But I noticed that a lot of people these days use historian in a much looser sense. Then in the loose sense, if you're someone who's really into history and you make money by doing research, if that qualifies you as a historian, then I guess you could call me that. I still don't like using it though, and it kind of makes me, because it makes me feel condescending, like, oh, look at me, I'm a historian. So I prefer to call myself history enthusiast. I am a teacher, so I used to teach. I did it for 10 years, but usually my specialty was languages and culture. Now, given culture and history are intertwined, and I did take a lot of history courses in for my university course. I was even allowed to go into the Vatican secret archives because of that. They gave me a special permission because I was putting a lot of work into history, even though I didn't need to. I actually took more exams than I needed for my university degree, simply because I got so interested in it that I just kept doing tests, pretty much. But yeah, so that happened. But anyways, I appreciate that. I think it was great that he said that, and I am very interested to see what he thinks about the pyramids. So, of course, it's a massive video, but I do want to start watching at least a little bit to see what he says. And then after we are done with this, I will strongly recommend you to go and watch the original video, put links and whatnot. But after this, I do want to check out, what's his name? Dr. Dave, and how he responds to the other side. And then we'll watch a little bit from the other side. I was thinking of watching one of the Duncan videos and one of Jimmy Corsetti, but one thing at a time. We got a lot of time anyways.
Hit it, Fergie. Don't even get me started. Okay, guess we gotta waste more breath on this discovery. How's it going, everybody? If you have spent any amount of time on the internet over the course of the past, 3 weeks, you've probably had the misfortune of stumbling across videos like this.
We finally know what's underneath the pyramids. And these
yeah, the TikToks. The TikToks were so idiotic. And again, perhaps I'm a bit more open-minded than the gentleman on the right of my thumbnail when it comes to, I'm skeptical about it, but who knows? And that's why I presented, rather than going into the sci-fi of it, I went into, which, by the way, if you believe, I respect your opinion. You can believe whatever you want. But as I was saying, I was thinking, maybe what if there are mines? Maybe there is something there. Why don't you dig? So I'm a little open-minded, but my window of open-mindedness towards this has been shrunken because of who Corrado Malanga is and the stuff he presents, and because of the unprofessionalism of Armando May. Both have zero respect from me, nothing. The only scientist out of the three, and I shouldn't even use that word, but the only scientist for the other two, but the only scientist that I do respect is Filippo Biondi, because I don't see any reason not to at the moment. With that being said, the fact that he works well, I don't want to do guilty by association. I hate guilty by association. So for now, that's why I still have a little window of possibility when I say, you know what, the window is there. It will enlarge if you present more evidence or if you dig. But until then, I'm more inclined to believe that, and definitely when I see the TikToks, things I have no.
discoveries are groundbreaking.
Or like this.
Structures so deep they might form an entire hidden city.
Or even, regrettably.
Sorry, but I have to say this. You see the little lamp? I'll try not to interrupt him too much, but you see the little lamp that this guy has got on his head? The Romans had that. They did it they with their mine workers, they had these lamps that were like basically terracotta with a little wickle on it, and they would wear them on their head as they would go inside the mining shafts all the way down to 200 meters under the ground zero, and they would walk around with the light from their heads. The Romans had that.
Structures so deep they might form an entire hidden city.
Or even, regrettably, like this.
Yeah. Wow.
About a week ago from as I'm filming this right now, I woke up one morning to have my Instagram Reels feed just completely filled with the same conspiracy nonsense over and over again about the exact same thing that I had never heard of in my life. All of them essentially just parroting the exact same thing as one another about this groundbreaking discovery that changes everything.
Narrative shattering.
That guy, yeah.
But season 2, Mr. Beast Lab swarmed.
Enhanced by AI.
Oh, Expedition, yeah, the channel.
But season 2, Mr. Beast Lab swarmed.
That's the channel that I reviewed. They were the ones that hosted the actual, I'm gonna say, infamous conference, because I hate that conference. And you know, it sucks. Because whenever I see the alien stuff, I love it. I love it. I used to watch X-Files like a maniac. I was religiously watching the X-Files back in the day. Fox Mulder and Scully. Mulder and Scully. I loved it. And I'm the first, like, I believe there are aliens out there. I just don't know mathematically. I just don't know if they have visited us or not. But I love the idea. I love it. So, like, if you're someone who's like, no, I believe it. I absolutely believe that it's the aliens. I'm like, wow, tell me why. Like, I won't make fun of you unless you try to sell stuff. Corrado Malanga. But if it's not the case, if that's not what you're doing, and you're like, you're genuinely passionate about it, I'll love talking to you. I will love it. Doesn't mean I'll believe you, though. Well, that depends on the evidence. But if someone does present some real evidence, or at least something that is like, you know, that makes you think, I enjoy talking about it. So you can call me open-minded when it comes to that. But this, yeah.
Enhanced by AI.
Spirals.
Beyond is all right up to this point.
That is, of course, the Khafre Pyramid discovery. And this claim spread so far, so fast, that later that week, I was literally asked on to Piers Morgan to talk about it.
Yes or no?
Yeah, okay, look at the roster. So we've got Piers Morgan. Usually, I watch Piers Morgan. Sometimes it's so strange. It's a dice roll for me, this gentleman, because sometimes I like him. Like, there are situations where he challenged some speakers, and I was like, man, Morgan is on fire on this one. So, like, sometimes I like him, but there are other times when he just sticks to a point, and the point is moot. Like, it's not a good point, and he will keep insisting. And then he has the tendency to speak over people. So, for example, I think he handled Destiny very well. I do not like how he handled Alex O'Connor, though. I think he didn't let him speak. If I recall correctly, Alex O'Connor, they never let him speak. And I say that as a Christian. I'm on the other side of Alex O'Connor. But I like the guy. I think he's very intelligent, very articulate. I like listening to his ideas. They are it's fascinating, the fact that he got a degree in theology just so that he could understand. And I respect that. You know, I can't stand it when you have militant atheists that have never opened the Bible and tell me it's nonsense. Well, read it and then tell me you don't believe it and you think it's nonsense. But at least I respect that you put some study into it. I read the entire thing. I read it in Italian, I read it in English, and I read parts of it in Hebrew. With the dictionary, I tried to translate from the Greeks with the help of a professional. I'm very invested in it. And of course, I am biased because I'm Christian, so I always look at it in a way that I have to be careful and against my own selective bias in the matter, and I'm aware of that, and I try to push them back at least when we talk about the linguistics of it or the historical context. With that being said, Alex O'Connor I can respect because he studies it, he read it, he talks about it from a position of knowledge, and that I can respect, even if I ultimately disagree with many of his takes. And I remember Piers Brosnan just wouldn't let him, Piers Morgan, not Brosnan. Brosnan is, yeah, of course Brosnan doesn't let you speak. That's what happens with Piers Brosnan. But with Piers Morgan, yeah, it's, as I say, kind of depends. And when he had Richard Dawkins on, he kept insisting on this point, and I'm like, Piers, the point is not good. Can we move on? So it depends on the situation, but there are situations in which I think he handles people really well, and sometimes he has positions that are more on the moderate side, which is why it overlaps with me, I guess, but that's what it is. Let me read the comments a little bit. Let's see. Craig asks a pertinent question. Are multitudes of eyewitness testimonials not supple evidence are downloaded a NASA document? Well, you see, that's the problem. Eyewitness testimonials are the least reliable. They are the lowest in the rung. They shouldn't be completely ignored. But an eyewitness testimony is the least valuable element of proof that you can use when you try to examine or delineate any situation and its validity. Because there is a lot that can go through it. Mentally speaking, psychologically speaking, not to mention the way we retell information, it's from memory. Like, there are a lot of scenarios in which, unfortunately, eyewitness, it's not enough. There are other forms of evidence that, for example, we can examine, assess, and evaluate through machines that are better. But yeah, I mean, sure. More long hair. Yeah, spirals. Yeah, I know. I didn't want to make fun of that because, I mean, the guy's not fluent in English. He's Italian. In fact, if I ever do invite any of the three, it would be Filippo Biondi. And as far as I'm concerned, we can use Italian if he wants. We could make a video together and then I translate it so that he is free to speak in his own native tongue, which is probably easier because he doesn't seem to be fluent. I mean, spirals was, but again, I don't want to make fun because I mess up pronunciation as well, and I have no excuse contrary to him because I've been speaking English for like 2 decades, so no, longer than that, 3 decades. So yeah, so there is that. Let me see on Twitch, how are we doing? Metatron, do you think that there are any missing parts of the Bible? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And sometimes, you know, I love the Bible. I read it a lot. But sometimes there are people, I think, that go a little too beyond. They go beyond this idea of, because the Bible is important, absolutely. It's scripture for a believer. But there are so many versions that you can't fixate on the word unless you read Hebrew at that point. Because I would fixate on the message. I would fixate on the core, on the doctrine, if you want. But fixating on, he said this word, and then there is a comma here, and the reason why God put a comma there is because he wanted to give you that you need to pause, like all this building, and then there is no comma because Semitic languages have no punctuation, so the original had no comma there, you're just building stuff from out of nothing, but also the specific word of that translation that you're reading, but there are loads of translations. So personally, I really like the King James version. That's one of my favorite, but yeah, I mean, I've read the Edizioni Paoline, which is the standard Bible usually used by the Catholic Church, as far as I remember, right? It's been a while. So yeah, I wouldn't fixate on the words like that. I would say the core message is the one that matters. Everything beyond that is personal interest, but you shouldn't look at it. You should look at it from an anthropological perspective, from a historical perspective, from a linguistic perspective, from a cultural perspective, because you want to study how people thought in that period. That's all great. But if you start fixating on the words with the linguistics of it for doctrinal reasons, then I think you're a little out of the rails at that point. Someone still says it's very quiet. I don't know what to say. I'm maxed out. I maxed it out, mate. Let's see. All right. Oh, I think there was an older message. Let's see. You're having a very nice discussion on Twitch, I see. But YouTube. Let's see how YouTube. Thank you, and welcome to Joshua Orand, who is a member. Someone says, Craig says, I'm a turtle. That's great. Raffaello, Michelangelo, Donatello, or Leonardo? You know what's funny about aliens is that I'm an alien myself, at least from the perspective of the American government. I'm a legal alien. And I'm so proud of that word that is in my official documents, that they call me an alien. I love it. I love it. I've even seen like people more on the like politically correct, but the extreme politically correct side, Because I'm okay not being an asshole. Usually I'm not. Like, I'm okay not being an asshole, but there are people in the politically correct movement that side that are nuts. And they're like, oh, you shouldn't say alien. We need to remove him. I'm like, no, don't you dare to touch my alien. I want it. I'm the immigrant here. So I get to say what I want. So, yeah. You live in America? Yes, I have a green card. I'm a green card holder. In fact, the government has recently sent me a letter that now I can apply for citizenship. That's going to take forever, but I can begin the proceedings. And I will. I will. I want to become an American citizen. Absolutely. Michelangelo, that's a good choice. Nice orange right there. David Lopez says, you do a great job, Metatron, if need. Knowledge, I come to your channel among many others, but you give things a cool spin. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And White Wing Devil says, quiet, sounds like a person problem. You sound fine. Yeah, probably it's just their volume is a little low, possibly. When is the Metatron interview? With Piers Morgan? I don't think it's ever going to happen. I'm not one of the big shot guys. It doesn't bother me, though. I'm happy with what I have. Anyways, oh, sorry, I just hit the microphone. Apologies for that. Thank you, Control-Alt-Delete. I took DMT and went to a black sand desert, and an eye-burning bush told me that the Metatron cube is how our consciousness makes 3D shapes from my data. I'm glad. I'm glad that you approve of my Metatron's cube. It's actually funny because in the comments, people don't know that that's the Metatron's cube, my channel symbol. In connection, of course, with the name of the channel, Metatron and whatnot. Some people are like, why do you have the Star of David? Why do you have satanic symbols? I'm like, it's not satanic, you absolute... Yeah. Happy Easter, Mr. Metatron. Happy Easter, Snail Paste. All right, let's get back to the video. But I'm still checking the chat, so feel free to keep posting because I'll read. So, who we got here? Piers Morgan, who is not Pierce Brosnan. Then we've got Flint Dibble, Milo Rossi. That's Jimmy Corsetti, and what's his name? Dan, right? I call him the Dunking guy, but it's Dan, right? Think so. Thank you, Arbador. Welcome to my first stream. Your first stream watching me. Greetings from Uruguay. Love that. Love that. Man, I love the fact that you guys come from all over the place. In a little bit, we'll be like, greetings from Mars.
UFOs have visited Earth, and governments are keeping it secret.
Sounds cool, man. No idea.
That's how you know the situation has gotten...
I like that he said no idea, though. Did you notice that? I like that he said no idea. And that's my position. I have no idea if aliens visited our planet like 50,000 years ago. I don't know.
Hopefully never have to say any of it ever again.
It's on the military, they would be vaporized, says Gold ZZZ. Yeah, you're right. They would probably take down the freaking satellite if someone tried that. Better not. Video's pretty good so far, though.
Okay, so first and foremost, there's already a whole bunch of videos about this discovery that my colleagues have done that are way more eloquent than I am. They break down a lot more of the study and the technology behind it, and really get into sort of the technical nitty-gritty side of things. Now, in this video, I'm going to give a bit of a TLDR on this whole situation, and really the thing we're going to be diving into is just the absolutely insane spread of the bullshit surrounding this story. So
yeah, and that connects with TikTok particularly, but even YouTube, to be honest. What were you saying? V5VV, Area 51 is restricted airspace. I didn't think about that, of course, because it's military, so it's restricted. Yeah, true.
Really recommend after this video going to check out Ancient Architect's video on this research. He does a really great job of breaking it down in
Cool.
A level of technicality that I think is really important for everyone. And there's also a great video by Flint Dibble that talks to a researcher that's familiar with this type of satellite data that they used here.
I haven't watched Flint Dibble's video on it. I'll have to check it. What do you guys think of his video if you watched it?
that I think everyone should familiarize themselves with as well. So links to those videos will be in the description. I'm gonna do my thing now. So I've been sort of hoarding like crazy person Instagram reels for the last week. And so largely what I wanna do in this video is go through just how crazy it is that misinformation can spread so fast and so far. And we're all gonna lose some brain cells together watching some videos that I haven't even really had the guts to watch all the way through until now. Because I'm only gonna do it once, and so it might as well be on camera. But before that, let's give a little synopsis of what the whole situation is here for anyone who's not aware. So the claim goes like this. In a press conference earlier this month...
There they are, guys. There they are.
A couple of researchers claimed that they found evidence of 8 2-kilometer-long cylindrical structures underneath Khafre's pyramid. Khafre's pyramid is the middle of the Great Pyramids. You might know it as being the second one from the left or the second one from the right. This is the image that most of us are probably familiar with about this discovery. I don't think I have ever used the word discovery more liberally in my life. We see the columns stretching down into the ground with some spiraling things around them and then 2 massive chambers at the bottom. Now that image looks pretty convincing, right? I mean, you wouldn't just pull a technical looking image like that out of your ass to mislead people, right? Right? Now, while the conspiracy accounts will proudly show you this image, what many of them will conveniently leave out is this image, which is the image of the actual data that they got. Okay. Whew, it's cold in here. 40 degrees.
And do remember that the one doing the interpretation, aka Corrado Malanga, is colorblind. I will never stop saying that.
Here I was thinking spring was coming. You guys saw my April Fool's video.
Sorry, I left my vat of Vaseline here. My bad.
This is us. Just whiteboard. An F55-gallon of Vaseline.
Jeez, I'm stinky. I know.
He's very fun, though. That's why I can see why he's very popular, because he's fun and prepared. Milo Rossi, that is.
You leave 2 dudes alone on a nice day with a vat of Vaseline, you know? You better have Kleenex.
I was outside. Sun was shining. Birds were tweeting. I was covered in Vaseline. Gotta love it. Okay, what was I talking about?
So
so this is the data that they actually got from this. And then they interpreted this data into this, which I don't think is
I don't know if that's the exact screenshot because I think they have multiple, and I remember that there was one where you do see these like vertical columns. So I believe that's not the exact screenshot that they used. But still, because they includes Corrado Malanga, I'm like, you know what? Dig, because I'm not going to believe Corrado Malanga. I just don't believe Corrado Malanga. It is what it is.
Very honest. And I could even say really fucking misleading. So the way that this data was acquired, this data, not the, fan art that they made of it, was through
synthetic aperture radar,
or SAR. SAR technology is sort of similar to an ultrasound, the thing they baby with. And you might be thinking, well, if I was looking for a chamber 2 kilometers...
Holy moly, I never saw that. Like, when you look at it this way, is this an accurate... I think it is, because he puts the meters at the top. Man, when you see it this way, is insane. That's in New York, isn't it? Look at that. Holy moly. Duncan did a great video in response. Oh yeah, I'll watch that 100%. I don't know if I'll watch it during this stream. Kind of depends. I might watch some of it and then I'll watch it in its entirety, because I wanna watch both. I wanna watch both sides. But gosh, look at that. Oh, that's Dubai. Apologies. I have no idea.
Kilometers underneath the pyramid of Giza, the height of the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building on the planet.
Okay.
I'd probably use something other than an ultrasound. And you'd be right, considering this SAR technology does an absolutely dogshit job of actually penetrating into the Earth. But to their credit, the researchers don't actually claim that this is ground penetrating radar going into the ground. Rather, they use the SAR data alongside Doppler tomography data, and they claimed that by looking at both of these pieces of information combined, they were not looking into the Earth, but they were analyzing micro movements in the Earth, which they could then interpret to see shapes underground. Now again, you can check out Flint's video to learn more about this, because he talks to someone who specializes in this stuff. I am not a ground-penetrating radar or sonar expert. So all of this data, which I might also add, was acquired from a satellite.
2 satellites, to be specific.
680 kilometers above the Earth, produced this piece of data which was then interpreted as this. I think we should do more ultrasounds from high Earth orbit. I feel like that could be a niche that could be quite profitable. So anyway, this data was then not published. It was discussed in 2 different...
On the profitable aspect, do keep in mind, and again, I guess it's not regular procedure, but at the end of the conference, of the 4-hour conference, everybody was instructed to go to whatever table to buy Corrado Malanga's books. So there is that.
Different press conferences, one of which was hosted by a former member of, what was it called again? InfoWars. Ah, wow. Actually very proud to have forgotten the word InfoWars. I could go my whole life never seeing that again and I'd be fucking thrilled. Wow, Milo from the future. I wanted to just pop in real quick to warn you guys, I will put on a different hat later in this video. I know, and I'm really sorry. I just had to give you advance warning. I'm kidding. I'm here because when I exported this last batch of footage, I noticed something was wrong with the autofocus, and so it decided that my computer was the thing that needed to be in focus. The issue that I found was that my camera was not set to...
Yeah, sometimes I have the issue of focus, but no one is as good as Motahar from Some Ordinary Gamers when it comes to messing up the focus of the camera. He's the king. Unsurpassable. What were you saying? There are a lot of conspiracy theorists in this comment section. Yeah, I love them. You should all be here. Freedom. Freedom. Everybody can think whatever they want. You're all welcome here. Let's see. Let's go.
To face autofocus, it was set to pet autofocus, which still doesn't really explain why it focused on my computer. But fucking who knows? I fixed it now. Milo, can you go back in and just reshoot all of that? No, absolutely not. Myself and
that's what I do because I'm a masochist. If I don't like it, I'll reshoot the entire thing.
The rest of the world have already wasted enough of our collective breath on this stupid fucking theory, and so I'd rather dedicate my time to making videos about like actual archaeology and things that there's at least some evidence for. Like the Octagon Earthworks video, it's going to be the next one that comes out.
I mean, I've been making a lot of videos on the pyramids, and I'm not going to stop. I just love it. I love these speculation, I love the discussion. I love to hate on Armando May and Corrado Biondi's ideas. But yeah.
Hopefully. It's about a site with actual...
But then again, I do enjoy the possibility. I love the possibility. I really hope there is something under there, by the way. I really do. And yes, I agree. I like Milo. Milo's good.
Sacred geometry and astronomical alignments, and not this stupid sensational bullshit. So, look, here's a cool clip of it.
Alignments to all 8 of those are built into this architecture. It goes on a perfectly straight path, almost like a microcosm of the ancient indigenous North American cosmos.
Wow. Wasn't that pretty cool? Hooks in you. Come back in 2 weeks. Okay, anyway, I'll let you get back to Milo with the other hat now. Anyway, so one of the people at this press conference was apparently a guy formerly from InfoWars. That's the level of credibility we're dealing with here. Then I think it was picked up by actual InfoWars, at which point it was picked up...
I never watched it. I don't know anything about InfoWars, so I can't judge.
By the Joe Rogan Experience, which...
I enjoy watching Joe Rogan. I do watch Joe Rogan. Doesn't mean I always agree with his guests, but I enjoy the show.
To chew it up and mama bird regurgitate it into the mouths of every insufferable dude bro with a microphone.
Hovik says, I'm not saying Professor Dave is wrong, I just don't like him. Hey, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, I only watched a little bit of Professor Dave, and there were a few things that rubbed me wrong. But maybe he's good. Maybe he's good. I don't want to just already go ahead and, you know, we'll watch a little bit.
And that is how this thing that I can't even stress enough how little information we actually have on it has turned into probably the most discussed archaeological topic of the year so far. Now, I think it's also important I mention a little bit about the researchers who are providing us with this. One of them, Armando May, is a self-taught Egyptologist, which is, as we've discussed in previous episodes, a guy who likes Egypt. Now, apparently self-taught in this case just means read a lot of books about conspiracy.
Oh yeah, he's fixated with the Emerald Tablets. And yeah, I have to agree with him on this. Armando May was, I don't know if he was the worst. Was he the worst? Or was Corrado Malanga the worst? Maybe Armando May. Because I love this, I gotta tell you this. So there is this section, right, where Armando May, he's going on the dating of the complex of Giza. And he says, well, you know, this is normally dated 10,400 years in the past, but No, my opinion is that he doesn't even say opinion. He says it should be dated 36,600 years in the past. And I'm like, oh, wow, this guy is adding 25,000, 26,000 years to the dating. Not 1,000, not 5,000, 25,000 years. So I'm intrigued. I'm like, all right, well, let me see. How is he going to justify that? And the way he justified it is, oh, well, because you know, when you date a complex, a site like this, you shouldn't just date the pyramids and the Sphinx, but you should also date the shafts and the temples. Full stop. That's how he justified 26,000. I'm like, what are you dating? The sand? What are you dating? Like, it was so unprofessional, not to mention the numerology part. I loved that was my favorite. When it's like, well, wait, in this temple here, there are 16 columns. 16 means, and then I figured out after, 16 means 7. Why? Because in numerology, when you have two numbers, then you have to sum them. So 6 plus 1 is 7, and that's the number he extrapolated. Then he connected it to this one single niche that he decided was important. So we have number 7, number 1, and then there is number 3 because it's the number of corridors. Yet he gets 374, then he flips it around and says that that's the number that the ancient whoever the heck was 36,000 years in the past decided to build it that way so that you could figure out, you meaning Armando May specifically, could figure out 30,000 years in the future that number was important because it was connected to a Menti to tell him, hey, there is something underneath, you should use your SAR technology to check it. This is insane. Insane. And people tell me, you call them unprofessional just because you don't believe in it. No, I call them unprofessional because this is rubbish. This is rubbish. Can you imagine, like, for a second, all right, whether it be an alien, okay, I need to put myself full screen, whether it be an alien, or whether it be an incredible ancient Egyptian architect, in both cases, I think we can firmly say we're talking about a professional that knows what they're doing. If it's an alien, well, he made all the way from freaking Orion all the way here. I think they know a thing or two about building structures and technology. And if it is a professional architect, I think they know what they're doing. So his workers are building the number of columns, and they're like, sir, we are ready to build the 20 columns. And the architect / alien says, no, you can't do 20 columns. It needs to be 16. And they're like, but sir, the columns are used to support the structure. Everything is going to collapse if we don't put 20. And he's like, no, I don't care. You need to put 16 because in the future, 30,000 years in the future, there will be one man named Armando May who needs to count 6 plus 1. And then his workers are like, well, why don't you freaking write it with the hieroglyphs? No, because it needs to be hidden. He needs to figure it out. And then he needs to do all the rest of the connection. Can you imagine that? This is what this guy is thinking. Armando May. Yeah. Okay.
About ancient Egypt. In the March 16th press conference, he speculated that this information could imply that the pyramids and the structures around them are 36,000 years old, and is one of the people who's a big proponent of all the astronomical alignment things as well. So take that for what you will. Now, the team leader is even more reputable, as he is actually a published author. Corrado Malagana, the team leader.
Malanga. I can give you lessons on how to pronounce the names. I can send you recordings, Milo, if you want. Don't even need to mention me. Don't worry about it. Just tell me, hey, there are these 3 names. They're Italians. How do I pronounce them? I'll do it for you. Corrado Malanga
has published books like this one, and like this one.
Okay, let me have a look.
Has published books like this one.
Corrado Malanga, Genesi, Uomo, Universo e Mito. Yeah, it sounds like a book when he tells you that the aliens are trying to steal your soul. That's what he says. Because the aliens don't have a soul. They have a spirit, they have a mind, but they don't have a soul. And humans, only some humans, have 3 parts, including the soul. And the aliens want the soul because they can use it, they can suck it out from your body and install it in the body of an alien who's about to die to prolong his life. That's Corrado Malanga.
And like this one.
Corrado Malanga, UFO nella mente. Oh, the UFO in the mind. So if just by this title, if you are into the ufology community, you shouldn't like this because he's saying it's in the mind. No, I don't want to put words in his mouth. I think it's because he's talking about the sessions that they did, the hypnosis, where he says that there is a giant crocodile 2 meters and 40 centimeters tall that people say kidnaps them. No, sorry, abducts them, because he says it's not a kidnap, it's an abduction. And I think that's what he's talking about. But yeah, he's right. That's Corrado Malanga for you. Besides, why do the aliens keep abducting drunk drivers, lorry drivers? Do they have a soul? And if they did, could they not just abduct one and then clone him, so then they can just farm those souls without having to every single time risking people recording them with their phones? I mean, it's just a suggestion to the aliens. Guys, if you need any more tips and tricks when it comes to strategy, I'm talking to the aliens right now. $100 an hour.
Now, I'm not saying that these things are enough to write this theory off on principle, but they're not doing it any favors. This is one of the really big problems I have with this entire thing. I am all for researching this more. I said that on Piers Morgan, I will say it now. I think that seeing an anomaly under the pyramid is something that should be looked into. We should look more into refining this SAR technology that they were using. But I think it is so wildly manipulative to turn this data into this image, which you don't even bother to get published, and went straight to literally the most mainstream mass media outlet on the planet. Joe Rogan fans talking about the mainstream media and then saying in the next breath, it's the most listened to podcast in the world. Fuck it, never.
To be serious, to be fair about this, I think when people say mainstream media, they don't talk about the size or the reach of the media. They mean that it's the media behind specific corporation, possibly under governmental control. So the simple fact that Joe Rogan is massive, because he is, I think the fans of Joe Rogan Experience will still say, yes, but it's independent because it's Joe Rogan. And so there isn't the intervention. I think that's how they would respond to that. So a little bit of a weak line of attack in this case. But that's how I would see it. And again, I watch Joe Rogan. I enjoy watching, because I think people should be allowed to speak even if I disagree with them when it comes to his hosts, or his guests. And yeah, thank you for clarifying that. Yeah, that's how I see it. I think that's what it means when we say mainstream. Yeah. And I do believe that the mainstream media oftentimes has such a political bias that it's impossible to trust them. It really is. So at this time, and that's why, by the way, I think people are redirected to independent creators like you and me, Milo Rossi, and then, and then I think lots of creators can be there and tell you what they think, and then every person can say, hey, I agree with that one, not with the other one.
Never mind. Now, the claims for what this is have ranged everything from them being support structures to them being a giant power generation system. There's about a million things wrong with these actually being man-made structures. One, this is so wildly below the water table. I don't know how they would have done this. Two,
there are ways to divert a water stream, and the Romans mention it. So the water table, to me, it's not a like a gotcha phrase necessarily, but it is a problem. So I agree that it does reduce the likeness of this being true, that there are artificial structures. But there are ways to work with that. Like the Romans specifically say, if you reach an underground river stream or a water table, this is what you do. And then they used a screw that was called the Egyptian screw, because the Romans learned it from the Greeks, who learned it from the Egyptians, that was specifically used to create like a mechanical device that could get rid of the excess water and maintain the shaft dry and the galleries. But still, I'm with him, okay? I am with him when it comes to being skeptical about this, particularly because of who Armando May and Corrado Malanga are and how they conducted the conference. So I am with him. But yeah.
This is a structure that is built on top of limestone bedrock. So how did they do this? And why would they have done it for support structure?
I don't know what that is, but it kind of reminds me of Age of Empires 2. I don't know why. Does that work with you as well? I can already imagine clicking on it and creating a person and then shh.
If it's already built on bedrock. Then the kind of other obvious one is we have no other context that would make this make any sense. Like if we were finding all kinds of structures underneath the other pyramids and we found evidence of like smaller ones, or this resembled a structure that was built in other places in Egypt, maybe I'd be like, yeah, okay, so we have a little bit of context that this is worth looking into. But I'm like, we literally don't see this anywhere. This is just completely contextualist. And really just the fact that this sonar image was turned into this is absolutely laughable. This would be like me walking...
Yeah, I mean, the way Corrado Malanga explains, he said that they did it because they used AI models. He doesn't tell us the software. He doesn't tell us... By the screenshots, I think it's either ChatGPT or Claude AI. It's possible that it's Claude AI since Claude AI is developed by Italians, but if not, it's probably ChatGPT. And then he uses the language model for something that isn't language related, which is already nonsensical. And then he says, well, the AI never gets anything wrong, so he actually said that in Italian. So yes, it is laughable the way they did it. Doesn't mean that this is completely wrong. Maybe there is something that isn't this, but maybe there is something underneath. As I say, I'm always open to that. But yeah, they used AI and said, Corrado Malanga said, AI never gets anything wrong. Yeah. Oh, that's Minecraft, was it? I see. You argue with AI all the time, Legato. That's funny. I don't know why that makes me laugh. No, I'm not making fun of you. I just think it's funny. Wow. Yeah. Archimedean screw, exactly, Kezan. He got it from the Egyptians. He did.
Walking into your living room with like a thermal camera or something and noticing sort of like a warm spot on your wall and being like, elves, you got a family of elves nesting in your walls. Like, yeah, I'm being a little bit hyperbolic, but not really, because this is like Schrodinger's pyramid. No one, and I cannot stress this enough, no one has any fucking idea what this actually is. This is not peer reviewed.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's not peer reviewed. The previous study from 2022 apparently was peer reviewed. But the current one that is in connection with the conference is correct. They still haven't released it. I think it would have given them more credibility, although then again, credibility is a word I cannot associate with Corrado Malanga and Armando May, but I could with Filippo Biondi. But I think they would have had more, what would you say, credibility if they had first published the paper on the newest one. But we'll see. They'll publish it, I guess. Kazan asks, where is all this racist talk coming from people? What racist talk? I didn't see anything racist, to be honest. I don't know what I don't know. I don't see anything racist, to be honest, right now, but then again. How are things on Twitch, guys? Oh yeah, Drumstick makes a very good counter-argument to what I just said, and he says the Egyptian screw is still over 2,000 years after the pyramids, though. The one used by the Greeks, yes, but we don't know. The original one that Archimedes learned from the Egyptians, we don't know how far back that goes. We have no idea. Still, good point. It's not like a gacha on my side either. Yeah. There are a lot of pretty bad journals that will probably just skim the paper. Well, I hope that they show it to us. Hey, a super chat. Thank you, Snoopy. Love your work, Metatron. Keep fighting the good fight. All hail Pompey. Hey, Pompey has been mentioned, guys. We need to lift our hands. Come on. 3, 2, 1, do it. Pompey, glory to Pompey. Always glory to Pompey. And thank you, Hovik, for the donation. Love all of your content, Metatron. Thank you so much. Let me make sure that I didn't skip any other super chats. So far, I do like the video Milo made. Even if I disagreed with a couple of points, it's fine. I still like the production. Let's see. I think I read all the super chats. Thank you. And thank you on Twitch. Let's keep going.
I said this a lot in the short I made on this. Not only is this not peer-reviewed, it's like not even really published. And while that shouldn't be enough to just completely write off an idea, it's certainly reason to not just accept it at face value like pretty much every conspiracy theorist is currently doing. Okay, now I want to be a little bit charitable actually towards this research and the researchers doing it.
Good.
While I'm certainly a little bit skeptical of their motives and some of the underlying biases may have, I don't think this is a bad study by any sense of the word. Cool. Now, I'm going to lay aside for a second the actual research of what's underneath the pyramid and look more at the technology that they were using, because that's the part that I think is the most interesting to me. I encourage these researchers to continue this study, try and get it published, and try and get it peer-reviewed, because I think there's potentially some really interesting discoveries to be made with refining the SAR technology that they used. If we could reliably use high Earth orbit satellites to analyze, micro movements in the Earth to predictably detect cavities underground, that could be a pretty groundbreaking technology.
would.
What I would suggest to the researchers, if I was part of a hypothetical peer review team researching their paper, is first, I would like to see evidence of how this SAR technology actually works. The way that they would do this is by going to an area that has well-documented underground cavities and cave systems, and using this technology there, and seeing if they can align the data they got from the satellite with the known data of what we have. Again,
He's absolutely right. Now, they did do it. They did test the technology on 3 separate sites, as I have discussed. The problem, however, is they didn't really go underground, in the sense that there is a, ground zero, and the pyramids go 648 meters and then 1.2 kilometers. They claim even down to 2,000 meters or 2 kilometers underneath the Earth's crust, which also means, I don't know if I misspoke there, I'm not a geologist, but ground zero. And of course there is the water table, which we don't know whether it can influence with the SAR technology or not. However, the 3 sites where they tested it were a tunnel, a dam that is in Turkey. The tunnel is in Italy. The dam is in Turkey. But once again, the dam I actually looked at it, and the dam is above the ground. In fact, there is a little mound of clay, and then they build the thing. Maybe the turbines were a little bit underneath the water, but I'm not sure about it, because unfortunately I wish they did that. I shouldn't do that. If you're presenting it as data to show that your tech works, you need to provide all of this information. They didn't. And then the only one that was maybe remarkable was the one about the underground laboratories in the Del Sasso, the mountain in Italy, which is a mountain that it's found in the middle of Italy, basically. So there's this highway, which is the A24, that goes from left to right in the boot of Italy, and then there is this mountain, and they dug tunnels inside it, and then in one of these tunnels, as you turn right, I believe, they put a lab. And of course, that lab is under 1,400 meters of rock if you count from the peak of the mountain, but it's not below ground zero. There is no water table involved. The rock is slightly different. They do have lime rock in both, but there is also granite, which I don't know if it's going to influence the data, make it easier, harder. No idea. They don't explain. And then the problem is that they did tell us on that conference that when the satellite makes the discoveries and the scans, it's slanted. It's not perfectly on top, perpendicularly. So if it's slanted, what does it matter that the top of the mountain is here, 1,400 meters, and then there is the lab? If you take it from the sides, then what's the depth? How much rock is it going through? The data appeared to work, but as I say, it's a different context. So I would have loved it if they did it on the Labyrinth of Paris, which do go at least 200 meters underground. Imagine if we could map all of that, because there is water involved in there. And then if there are mines in South Africa, in America, in South America, that go 3,000 and 4,000 meters underneath the ground. Scan it on those and see if you can accurately detect all the way down to 2,000 meters. Then we can start talking. Particularly if there is a water table involved, I think that would be really good. So, yeah. Let me see. Yeah, I personally, Northman is saying, yeah, some people did accuse Graham Hancock of being a racist and a white supremacist. I never appreciate those, because they have been tossed around against me as well a lot. And so once again, unless you can prove it, I remember that was one thing that I didn't like about Flint Dibble, because his presentation was pretty good when he was showing, and you could tell that he was prepared during the Joe Rogan experience. But then at one point, Graham Hancock said, well, you guys accused me of being a white supremacist, and Joe Rogan pushed him on it. He's like, did you say that? Did you say that? As he should have, because you don't need to call, if you think that what someone is presenting is nonsense, and you are the professional, debunk them. But if you push, no, because your narrative helps white supremacists think that indigenous people are inferior and they need the white man or they need the aliens, but they can't do things. No, that's a narrative that I don't support. At that point, I don't care. So I don't appreciate that, because personally I don't think there are a few things that Graham Hancock said that I disagreed with. I was like, the whole thing about the pyramids that he was talking about was like, no, I don't know, that doesn't sound right to me. I could be wrong, but it didn't sound right. But I wouldn't call him a racist. I have no reason to believe that he's a racist. In fact, if anything, I don't think he is, because he is disgusted by the accusation. Real racists, they are proud of it. Notice that when someone is racist and you call them racist, they're like, yeah, I am. That's what they say. And then they use that as an opportunity to say why their race is superior. And by the way, white people do it, black people do it, everyone can be racist. But then again, it's just one of those things. The simple fact that he was so disgusted by the accusation kind of gave me an idea. Nah, I don't think this guy's racist. But that's just my position on it. Thank you, Lord Dave the Kind, for the donation. You're very kind indeed. These discussions bring me memories. A long time ago, I joined a research project in the University of Naples where SAR technology was used for detection of oil spills on the ocean. It was a fun time. Which university? Was it the Federico II? Because I graduated from the Orientale in Naples, so that was my university as well. Very cool. Cool.
Science always works from the known into the unknown. So right now what we know about this is so very little that the far unknown is just complete speculation. Another piece of this puzzle that I sort of came across while doing this is that I think there's like actual documented cavities underneath the pyramid, not like, you know, man-made structures, but it's just limestone, so of course there's cavities. And those didn't show up on this technology. I have no citation for this. This is just something I stumbled across.
Unless some of the things that do show up are in fact, because they claim they're man-made, maybe they're not artificial. But yeah, we would have to double check this information. That's something I'll look into it. Because I can't verify it or anything. Of course, limestone does have the tendency of having ducts, pretty much like tunnels inside that form naturally. It would be interesting to see if in fact these tunnels that we know have been already mapped under the pyramids. If they didn't show up with the SAR technology, then they should explain to us why. But we should just put a pin on that, because it hasn't been confirmed.
I didn't fact check this really heavily, but this is part of the reason why I think that this technology should be refined a lot further, and that should be the direction that these researchers take it before bringing it to claim that they've made the most groundbreaking discovery in all of archaeology. I just think they're putting the cart before the horse a little bit. Now, I am almost kind of shocked to say this, but this is also almost the unanimous agreement within like the leading figures in the alt history space as well. Even the two alt history guys that joined me on Piers Morgan were in full agreement with me and Flint about this being something that is just way too early to say and needs more research. The people who tell
Hey, well, will you look at that? For once, they're not at each other's throat. That was pretty cool. Anyway, so far, it's a really good video. I like the video. What I'm going to do is I'm going to jump to the next speaker. But once again, Milo Rossi, thank you very much for mentioning my channel. I really appreciate that. More than happy to maybe join forces and work together. Let's look at this now. Professor Dave Explains. And I know that they collaborate maybe sometimes together. They have mutual respect. At the moment, I respect Milo Rossi, but what is my opinion on Professor Dave Explains? As you see, I watched a tiny little bit, and I don't know, I wasn't impressed. But let's see. Let's have a look.
Started, I should say.
Let's go.
Hey everyone, as you are well aware, I enjoy debunking pseudoscience and charlatans of all varieties.
Right.
And one area I have yet to tackle is pseudo-archaeology. What is that, you ask, and who's peddling it? Well, a number of people lately, so let's dig into it. Most people know what archaeology is. It's the study of human history through its material remains. We dig up ancient cities and learn about our past through the structures and artifacts we find. This is science, and archaeologists are scientists who follow a rigid empirical methodology, as is explained in great detail over in my archaeology series, which is part of a...
He has a series where he teaches you Italian. I don't know how. I don't know why. But that's pretty cool.
Larger series on anthropology. But just as with every other area of science, there are those who bastardize this field to gain notoriety and make a buck. Physics has its electric universe cranks who make pseudo-documentaries for Gaia. Nutrition has its healers and supplement peddlers who direct their gullible targets towards their endless array of useless or even harmful products. Archaeology is no different. Charlatans in this realm peddle fabricated tales and pure whimsy as a challenge to real science, and it is a narrative that has grown increasingly popular over the past few decades. There was a time when pseudo-archaeology was limited to ancient aliens on the History Channel. That's right, the guy with the crazy...
Yeah, I mean, History Channel is a mess. History Channel is a complete mess. It is what it is. Hey, Incomedification, thank you for the donation. I'm sorry for the off-topic comment, but Go with Cobb commented on your video and said that he would like to have a discussion. Yeah, yeah, for the language one. Cool, absolutely. He's more than welcome to join my stream on the second channel, though. So I'll organize that. That's very cool. That's very cool. We'll test. We'll talk about it. It's a language guy. If you guys follow me on Metatron's Academy, you know what that is. Pizza Pose, thank you for the donation. Buonasera, compa. Tanto rispetto de Gadripoli. Hello. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Appreciate the donation. Thank you. And our things on Twitch. Yeah, Lanzi really doesn't like Professor Dave. I still don't know. I haven't formed an opinion, but we'll form it now. We'll do it together. How about that? So you say he uses a lot of personal attacks. Yeah, we'll see. I don't like that, but has he received personal attacks? For instance, I use personal attacks when I counterattack. So there is that. But let's check it out. Let's see. And I love the haircut.
Hair we all laughed at. His name is Giorgio Sokolos. He was silly, and the show was silly. Atlantis, aliens built the pyramids, all of the classic nonsense, some of which we talked about when debunking Billy Carson. Most of us simply marveled at how the History Channel had sacrificed its integrity to promote sensationalist filth.
They got more views. 100%. They got more attention, views, and they made more money. History Channel, which then became History, is nonsense. That channel is a mess.
Went on our merry way. But sadly, this type of content has slowly gained enough popularity to weasel its way out of the fringe
That looks awesome,
into the mainstream, primarily thanks to, who the hell else, Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan regularly...
I see, so he's one of the people that hate Joe Rogan. Yeah, this guy, I debunked him. I remember I debunked him. What is he doing? Is this a fascist salute? Careful.
platforms charlatans of all varieties, and one of his favorites is a guy named Graham Hancock. Hancock appeared in episodes of Ancient Aliens, but he broke into the cultural consciousness in a more significant way through his Rogan appearances, and he is now more...
They must be friends, because he is Graham Hancock, apart from the fact that I think Joe Rogan loves this stuff. I mean, it's his show, he can do whatever he wants, but I think they're friends. Right, because he must have gone there, what, 14, 16 times? I don't remember. I think he says it.
More or less the face of pseudo-archaeology. To be clear, Graham is not an archaeologist. He has a bachelor's degree in sociology, which does not even remotely qualify him to challenge well-established archaeological knowledge. He's never been on a dig.
Interesting. What is Professor Dave's academic background, though? Because... personally, I think you can challenge. I challenge oftentimes massive professors, even though they, in theory, are the experts, but they're pushing politics, they're pushing messages, they're twisting the truth, they are doing stuff for stupid reasons. And so at that point, it doesn't matter. Anyone can challenge them, because that's the problem, I think, these days. Academia used to have the complete last say on everything. But now we have the internet, and people can do research. And when it's one professor who is a liar, because some professors are great, some professors are liars. When a professor like Simon Elliott lies for political reasons, and who knows for what other reason, notoriety, selling books, when they do that, now you have an army of tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people that can go unite all together, do research, and then they can, because it's a lie, it's easy to debunk. It doesn't even matter. So the absolute authority that the academic degree gave you is not as strong as it used to be. It really isn't. So we have to be careful with credentialism, as Francesco says. Again, I am always happy to be like, hey, this is the expert, let's ask the expert. But when the expert says something silly, then I'm like, wait, what? So we have to be careful. You say he has a bachelor in chemistry. Well, Bestia Noctis, I'll double check, but if that's true, then wouldn't that apply to him as well? Not an attack on Professor Dave. I'm just trying to understand the argument.
He's never uncovered any artifacts, and he can't read ancient languages. He is not part of the scientific community. As far as real archaeology goes, he's irrelevant. Knowing this full well, he claims to be a journalist, but he hasn't done any journalism in a very long time, and his current output does not qualify as such. He's just some guy who sells bullshit for cash, something which is very well demonstrated by his 2019 book, America Before. This is 600 pages of baseless, outlandish tales regarding lost civilizations having psychic powers, while claiming the ivory tower academics reject his bold new ideas because they're entrenched in dogma and thus resistant to new paradigms. Why would we listen to archaeologists about archaeology instead of some clueless jerk?
He does sound really mad, though. So even if he's making some points that make sense, I mean, yeah, if because again, I have to double check. If he, in his book, said that they have telekinesis and telepathy, then I would be like, oh, I don't know, man, I'm going to need proof of that. So I would agree with Professor Dave, but the way he's saying it sounds so angry that, I don't know, it's putting me off a little bit. Is it just me? I think he might, I don't know, maybe it's just me. Let's continue. I still want to give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's go.
The nerve of some people. But with these baseless anti-establishment narratives becoming increasingly popular amongst the public, and so very few experts in the field making even casual attempts to expose his fraudulence, we've arrived at the point where this nonsense needs to be aggressively addressed. Before getting into the nitty-gritty, let's introduce our cast of characters for this video. We've already covered Graham Hancock. The scholar that will be representing the legitimate archaeology community is Flint Dibble. He is an archaeological scientist and ancient historian who specializes in environmental archaeology from the Stone Age to the medieval period across the Mediterranean, with a focus on the ancient Greek world. Flint is one of the very few scientists who has pushed back against this movement, primarily in the form of a debate with Graham Hancock on Joe Rogan's show. Given that Graham's Atlantis bullshit is derived...
That is a great picture of Graham, though. It's a cool picture.
Directly from fictional Greek narrative, Flint is quite capable of dissecting Graham's fraudulence. We will also be hearing from Flint in person later in the video. Then we get to the lesser characters, serving somewhat as the comic relief. Dan Richards is a clown who has been cashing in on the pseudo-archaeology grift as of late.
Man, he's going all in, isn't he? I don't know if I would call him a clown. I think I like him, but maybe I like him just because I haven't watched many videos. Okay, I need to form my opinions and watch the videos of debunking. But debunking has always been very nice to me. Now, of course, you could tell me, well, what do you mean, Metatron? Someone can just be nice to you and that's all you use as a parameter. But you know, after I've been called a Nazi online, yeah, my bar is pretty low these days. So there is that. But I'll say that, I don't know, I mean, yeah, you're free to call him a clown if you want, but did he respond? Do you know, guys, I think some of you said that he responded. I'll have to watch his response. Because, wow, that was a boom.
Starting purely as a Hancock fanboy, but now making some noise of his own thanks to several appearances on Joe Rogan. Dan has precisely zero experience with archaeology. He is a former electrician without documentation who falsely claimed to be a member of his respective trade organization and was called out for it. He doesn't know the first thing about archaeology and is essentially just echoing the talking points of Hancock and other grifters to try and make a buck.
Ooh. Where
Hancock's grift...
Okay, that's the first red word, grifter. First red word, -1 point.
It's polished and well executed. Dan's is sophomoric and laughable. Even worse than Dan is another grifter named Jimmy Corsetti. He is essentially a professional internet troll. Here is a quick montage of some of his behavior on Twitter. He makes overtly sexist comments, blatantly racist comments, and is generally a complete douchebag. Apart from all that, he is repeatedly...
Okay, so there is an accusation that was... So we're starting with racist and sexist. Right. Show me, because it moved very fast. So let's evaluate, because of course racism and sexism do exist. Show me the proof.
Named Jimmy Corsetti. He is
because up to this point, Corsetti was very cordial. to me.
Actually a professional
So let's
internet
see.
troll. Here's
All right. A 21-year-old child that's never traveled anywhere, that spends his time chasing dopamine rush on Twitter. And they do attack each other, by the way. It's not like the other side is nice to him. So they attack each other constantly. In this case, he's attacking my man, Minute Man, which, once again, I like Milo, but they can attack each other as much as they want. But let's see. And I never even said something about being silenced, you clown. Oh, they actually love using the expression clown. Easy to act tough online, you... Okay. Well, great, but this is not sexist and it's not racist. It's just, yeah, in this case, Corsetti's writing like an asshole. But did Minute Man also speak like that? Because if they did, then they cancel each other. If you know what I mean, when it comes to who's being the asshole. If they're both being assholes. I mean, what's his name? Alec was an asshole to me, Alec Gunter, and I think I was an asshole back, although I'm classy when I'm an asshole. You'll have to give me that, even if you hate my guts. You'll have to give me that. I'm classy when I attack people. Anyways, first one, no racism and no sexism. Next.
a quick montage of some of his behavior on Twitter. He makes...
Okay, let's see. Get off Twitter, put the selfie camera down, stop being fake, leeching for attention, go make some videos. Once again, this is all rude, but I don't see sexism. It's sad that the most toxic critics are archaeologists, professors, YouTubers that never visited any of these ancient sites, says Jimmy Corsetti. No racism. These angry, envious trolls are totally okay. I'm not sure who you're referring to, though. I think you have had archaeologists like Flint Dibble who carefully watched the show and offered scientific critiques, and folks like Jason said this is their response. I'm going to just read. So Flint Dibble says something here. Most infuriating about this idiotic documentary, aside from the pseudoscience lies and general here we go, general underbelly of white supremacy. So it's someone is accusing, I think, Ancient Apocalypse of being a white supremacist show. I think that's nonsense. You can say it's bullshit, but white supremacy. But where is the? I'm still waiting.
Overtly sexist comments, blatantly racist comments, and is.
I'm not seeing them. They lie, manipulate scientific data, and weaponize defamatory rhetoric. They are being exposed and are behaving like a cult of online gang stalkers. Jimmy Corsetti, whatever it once was, or whatever we thought it was, is long gone. It's no longer about seeking discovery into our unknown lost past. It's broken and corrupted. All right, so, Dr. Dave, Professor Dave, if you do watch this, okay, I am usually my basic stance, and then I'll read the comments for a second. Usually my basic stance is I will side with the experts. I will side with the experts. But I will also be open-minded to the people that want to counter the experts. Whether they have degrees or not, I look at the evidence. I don't care about appeals to authority. Now show me the evidence, because if they're full of shit, then it's going to be very easy for the experts to debunk them. So that's one thing. But what I want to say is, if you make a categorical accusation like racism and sexism, and we'll see if he also accuses of white supremacy, and then you show a series of screenshots that do not have any racist, white supremacist, or sexist remark, then I don't believe you. Then you lose me there. If he does this all the time, it should have been very easy. And then you can partially remove the word if you don't want to. If he actually did use and made like really real racist comments, then you can blur it out a bit. But here there was nothing. Did you guys see anything that was actually racist? What do you guys think? Have you ever been to ancient Rome, bro? That's funny. Nothing. Yeah, I didn't see anything. So up to this point, I was waiting for it, but my opinion on Jimmy Corsetti hasn't changed because I didn't see any proof nor evidence. Since you're a professional, Professor Dave, you have to show evidence. I didn't see it, so I don't believe the accusations as of now. Let's see. Let's continue.
Is generally a complete douchebag. Apart from all that, he has repeatedly encouraged his followers to email.
Let me see. Do you have any concerns related to university instructor Flint Dibble online conduct? This is from Corsetti. Flint Dibble and Cardiff University's public contact info can be found down below. Yeah, I mean, if Jimmy Corsetti did this, then I would tell you, Jimmy, you've been nice to me, so I'm not gonna. But I will tell you, maybe don't do this again, because you should always encourage your audience to not go and attack people directly. Now, I don't know the context of this, though. Did Flint Dibble attack Jimmy Corsetti publicly first? Is this a counter-attack? Or is it a first strike? So I do need the full context for this.
Flint's workplace for the purpose of harassing him, all because he dared to push back on the godfather of their grift. He and Dan appeared on Rogan together not long ago, and we will be covering both of these episodes in this video. Assholes like Jimmy make Graham seem professional in comparison, but don't let your judgment waver. All three of these guys are frauds to the core. Now let's dive into the timeline.
Well, I hope he provides proof of that, because up to this point, it's a lot of ad hominem. There is a lot of poison in the well that I've seen here up to this point. It's, of course, Professor Dave's freedom to be able to say this. We'll have to see how this works when it comes to possible slander and defamation. I don't know. I have no idea. Because when you say fraud, fraud is like it's... I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, guys. If there is a lawyer in here and you want to tell me what your opinion is when it comes to defamatory claims, we'll have to see. I don't know, honestly. But if you call someone an asshole, I think that's legal and it should stay legal. You can call someone an asshole.
Line of the video. The centerpiece of all this will be the debate that Graham and Flint had on Joe's show, but there is a lot of lead up to cover, as well as a lot of aftermath, so let's hit all of this chronologically. First, we have to discuss the history of Graham on Joe Rogan. These two go way back. His first appearance was on episode 142, all the way back in September of 2011, and he has been on the show a total of 12 times, sometimes alone and sometimes alongside another guest. With the popularity he amassed from these appearances alone, he was able to wrangle a deal with Netflix for his very own show called Ancient Apocalypse, released in 2022.
I am very curious to see what he says. I think because while I was playing this, I was cleaning my room, so I know he spoke about it, but I don't remember what he said. I am interested in seeing what he said, because I have a comeback for Professor Dave, but I might not use it if he does a fair evaluation here. Let's see. Let's see what he says about this.
Internet buzz aside, how the hell did this clown get a Netflix show, you ask? Well, his son, Sean, is a senior manager at Netflix, responsible for unscripted originals. So that explains it. Is there a word for reverse nepotism? Upon its release, Flint himself described the show as a declaration of war on archaeologists. Without going into tremendous detail, it's a pseudo-scientific rampage in which he proposes that a highly technologically advanced global Ice Age civilization was destroyed in a cataclysmic flood and is thus easily connected to the myth of Atlantis. This would be baseless enough, but of course he also proposes that this civilization introduced essentially everything to our clueless hunter-gatherer ancestors, from astronomy and math to agriculture and architecture, thus aligning with all of the wisdom from above ancient aliens bullshit he was previously a part of, even if he doesn't make that the focal point of the show. Naturally, anybody educated in this field who pushes back on unqualified jerks like Graham presenting pure fantasy as science only does so because they are arrogant defenders of mainstream academia, and not because he's pulling...
Some are, to be fair, but some are not, so let's see.
Everything out of his ass, like Terrence Howard saying 1 × 1 = 2. Graham
that was nonsense.
Visits well-established archaeological sites that are known conclusively to date to thousands of years after the Ice Age, spews some tripe he recycled from previously discredited charlatans.
Thank you, Hictus, for subscribing with Prime on Twitch. I really appreciate that. Thank you. And That'll Do says, this guy is so unnecessarily aggressive. He is very aggressive. I'm trying to sift through that because I'm thinking I don't know the context, so these guys clearly attack each other like maniacs. So there is that. There is a war that I wasn't aware of. But yeah, he does seem very aggressive. I'm just trying to not focus on the way he's saying it, but on what he's saying it. It's not easy to do, but I'm trying to give him a fair opportunity, if you know what I mean. Let's see.
Like Ignatius Donnelly, who published a similar book in 1882 and tells the viewer to trust him, not actual experts, because he says so. Who needs evidence, right? In response to this travesty of a series, the Society for American Archaeology wrote an open letter to Netflix, basically saying, "Hey Netflix, what the fuck are you doing? This show is sensationalist garbage full of lies that does nothing but disparage and insult the legitimate archaeological community. 1. Graham shits on archaeology every chance he gets, the topic he is pretending to investigate without a shred of concern for how archaeologists are affected. 2. Stop calling it a docuseries. It's a pile of horse manure. And 3.
Okay, so we got in the racist and white supremacist part. Let me see what he says, and then I'll tell you what I think.
It's racist as shit to pretend that indigenous people were idiots who can't possibly have developed the things they definitely did develop, so they must have had them given to them by white people or aliens. You make racist people even more racist. And
all right, yeah, okay. So I think I'm starting to understand where Professor Dave's stands. So here is my counter to Professor Dave when it comes to this, and feel free to clip it. Because if you're watching Professor Dave at any point when I re-upload this, you say you shouldn't have, or you say, or these people say, but you seem to agree, that Ancient Apocalypse shouldn't have docu-series on it because the docu part means documentary. Why did you have you complained about Cleopatra and having that one, the full documentary label? Because if you did, I haven't watched your channel. If you did, if Professor Dave complained about that and said that that one should also not have the documentary label attached to it, then I'll be like, you know what, I agree with the guy. Maybe you both shouldn't have the documentary on it because, you know, Cleopatra is also complete nonsense, at least when it comes to this, which I haven't watched. So I will have to watch because again, I've just told him, did you talk about the Cleopatra? So he could tell me, well, you didn't talk about, well, I did talk about him. I didn't talk about the documentary, specific docu-series, but because I haven't watched it, but I'll watch it. I'll watch it and I'll give you my opinion. If I think the documentary shouldn't be placed on Graham Hancock, I'll say it. But I will also say that Cleopatra on Netflix should not have documentary also, because differently from whatever Hancock is discussing, which is very difficult to falsify simply because it's talking about 10,000 years ago and maybe longer. So when you go very back, like hundreds and even thousands of years back in the past, it's difficult because you're trying to attack what's not there. That's what you're trying to say. But with Cleopatra, we know. With Cleopatra, we know. And yet, they not only made Cleopatra black, but the entire family was black. So, if you have a problem with this, but you don't have a problem with your Cleopatra, then you're being political, and I don't respect that. So I would like to know Professor Dave's official public position when it comes to the documentary Netflix presented about Cleopatra. If he says he has a problem with that too, then I can bring him back to, okay, maybe he was mad, but at least I can see a certain reason in there. But if he doesn't have a problem with that having documentary, then he's being political and I have a problem with that. Secondly, the theory it presents has a long-standing association with racist white supremacy. Well, first of all, guilty by association. Let's stop that. Can we all mature from that nonsense? Like, people use that against me. Oh, you associate with, I don't know, Shad, for instance. So what? He's a good person. Shad helped me in my time of need. Do we agree on everything? No, Shad is definitely much more right-wing than me. But who cares? He's a good man, he's a good person. We agree on a lot of things when it comes to social aspects and traditional areas of life. But we disagree on others. I think he calls, like, maybe he uses the word woke a lot more than me, but it's fine. It's his freedom. And even if I disagree with the man, it doesn't mean that I can't be a friend. Not to mention that the people that will use guilty by association, they hate me anyways. Shad instead, so if I make them happy and I break my relationship with Shad, they still hate me. So what's the damn point? When it comes to Shad instead, once again, when I was mass demonetized, Shad was the man who was like, hey, you know what, I'm going to help you, and then I'm going to make a video about it. He's the only one in the community of the soul that made a video about it. No one else did. He did. He made it quick, and I got a lot of donations because of it. And he was the reason why I could calm my wife, who is very anxious, when my monetization was blocked. Not Shadman, Shadiversity. Shadman is a piece of garbage. But I'm saying he was thanks to Shad, I could calm down my wife and say we're gonna be okay, even if the monetization doesn't come back, which luckily it did. But even if it doesn't for some time, as I discuss and sift through this problem, Shad helped. And I'm not gonna stop that. Why? Because he's offensive. Who cares? He's a good person. Okay, he's a good person, and I will say that. Guilty by association or not, I don't care. And then when we say here, racism, white supremacists, is it? I'll watch the show. But I'm starting to think, no. When Professor Dave uses racism, he hasn't provided evidence. We need the evidence from the documentary that pushes white supremacy. That's what we need.
Given to them by white people or aliens. You make racist people even more racist. And by the way, all the garbage he spews is plagiarized from other people who have been conclusively debunked for 140 years. White supremacy sucks. You suck. Please stop. Graham
oh my gosh, all right. Minus 50 points. Not because I don't hate white supremacy, I do. But because now it sounds like Alec Gunter, my hater. The guy that called me white supremacist and Nazi. I don't know, man. I like Milo Rossi. You, however, Professor Dave, right now I'm getting you good. We're going down with the points. I'm happy to change my mind, though. Maybe it was just mad. I've made videos that I'm not proud of in the past because I was mad. So again, I'm not... But goodness gracious, not everything is white supremacies, guys. Not everything is white supremacy. Okay, it's... Whew.
Didn't like that one bit, so he decided to issue an infantile response. What false claims? What disinformation? Well, Graham, literally all of it, which has been exposed as false in breathtaking detail countless times, no matter how much you play dumb about it. And
I wonder, because all of it is a categorical statement. I think he made it because he's mad, but I also think he wrote a script, so this is thought out. He clearly is writing a script. A reading, sorry. So you should, I think... all of it, so there isn't one single thing in the entire documentary where they say this wall is made by this culture. All of it sounds wrong now, sounds weird. Like if Professor Dave in this case said the majority or the foundational core thesis presented by Graham Hancock is wrong, and here is why, I can respect that. But if you tell me all of it is wrong, then it sounds more like you're angry, but I don't think it's possible that all of it is wrong. Is it? Did you guys watch it? I'll have to watch it. Metatron, answer the question, you coward. Do you denounce your previous actions of pasta supremacy? Never. I double down. I am a pasta supremacist. I'm also an elf supremacist, by the way. Every game I play elves. So I'm an elf supremacist, and I'm truth supremacist. That's it.
We will go over much of that detail in this video. We don't have to highlight all of the whining and pearl clutching in this letter, as it's truly revolting and reminiscent of the worst apologist preachers, but a few tidbits are too hilarious to ignore. Here he complains about the implication that his show shouldn't have been made, because what about the tens of millions of viewers? Can't they make up their own minds? No, dumbass, they can't. They know even...
Well, actually, this, I have to say, was a good point. And I think what's important in order to be a debunker online, I've been doing for a while, there are better debunkers than me, but I think an important point is that gives you credibility is when your intellectual opponent, no matter how much you hate him, when your intellectual opponent makes a good point, you should acknowledge it. And honestly, yes, people should have the freedom to make their own mind. And once again, if you think that his points are stupid, then it will be very easy for you, as the professor, to debunk him to the core. And then finally people will watch both and they will think, you know what, Professor Dave was right all along. But if you think that people shouldn't have... I mean, it was a good point, the one that Graham made in this case. Freedom is the core of this sort of scenario. Yeah, people should be, he should be, maybe remove the documentary part from it if we don't want to have it too much of a authoritative position, just like I say, remove documentary from Cleopatra. I'm not saying don't post Cleopatra. You can post whatever you want. I'm just going to attack it. But you should be able to post it.
Even less about archaeology than you do. When you tell them stories they want to hear, they believe you, because that's how people are. It's not controlling the narrative to push back on fraudulent claims, because science is not a narrative. It's an empirical process.
I wish, Professor Dave, I really wish. I agree that that's what science should be. And if by science we go a little even into the all the sectors, history, linguistics, language, all the sectors, then I'm going to say that's what it should be, but it really isn't. People flash their, oh gosh, I can't think of the word, degrees, but then they push nonsense. So I don't know what to tell you, that happens. It's not enough to say, well, science, if you're a scientist, you've got the degrees, you're right. Am I strawmanning the guy? Credentials, thank you. Credentials are not everything. So I agree with the principle that science should be about facts and logic and reason and evidence. But man, look at my videos. How many times have we, without a shadow of a doubt, debunked that?
Lies you push are the narrative, and you are specifically poisoning the ability of people to make informed choices by lying to them. And in the very next bit, he perfects the art of projection, whining about how archaeologists use rhetoric to defame him, when that is what he specifically does to archaeologists in every episode of his dumb show. Anyway, the rest of this is better addressed as a response.
I guess that's fair if they both do it.
To his podcast appearances, so let's move forward.
Move forward.
Graham undoubtedly predicted the backlash to his show from educated, knowledgeable people, so he was immediately poised for some grandstanding, repeatedly claiming that no archaeologist would dare debate him, because they're all scared. You know, like how astronomers are too scared to debate flat earthers. Here he is on his...
Well, astronomers do debate flat earthers. There are a few shows like that. I watch them. Benjamin says, you are woke, Metatron. I'm the Wokatron. That's who I am. And the Metachad, depending on who you ask, in fact. It depends. Depends on the video I make.
His website challenging all the ivory tower elites to put their money where their mouth is.
I actually respect the fact that he challenged. I respect that.
Quit it with all the ad hominems, you guys. Debate me, bro. Look at this one guy. He's too scared. Flint decided it was up to him to shut this jerk up, so he publicly announced his intention to debate Graham.
I noticed that some of you here, quite a few of you, don't like Flint Dibble, but I do appreciate that he went. I do appreciate that he went, because I think what I don't appreciate is the archaeologists that say, no, Graham is below me, so I'm not going to talk. And I'm like, yeah, but if you have the evidence, then do it for the public. Do it for the public at that point. So I do appreciate that he did go. That I can appreciate.
Graham was quick to publicize the intended debate, which of course was to take place on Joe's show, because where the hell else? However, in a terrible twist of fate, the day after this announcement, Flint received biopsy results reporting that previously diagnosed and treated cancer had returned and was spreading.
That's
so
terrible.
he needed to focus on his health for some duration of time, which ended up requiring over a year. During this time, Flint was harassed to a revolting degree. Much of it...
Yeah, okay, so of course, the harassment I don't like. Like, I think that's wrong, so I agree with, finally, Professor Dave. I agree with Professor Dave on this one. He shouldn't have been harassed like that. Over the last 2 weeks, he has been endlessly calling us bigots, spreading racist Nazism. Yeah, but if he used this, then why the... Oh my gosh, what is it? He sure appears healthy and full of energy in his latest video. Yeah, okay, well, we shouldn't... If we don't have access to his medical records, we should... use innocent until proven guilty, so don't say that he doesn't have cancer. I mean, cancer is not a small thing. You know, I know a thing or two about that with my family. So it's not a thing that I think you should say, oh, you're faking it unless you have proof, evidence. But if he used the terms bigots, racist, Nazism, then it's like, come on, stop with the buzzwords. It's like the people that call everyone woke. I know that Professor Dave, by the likes of it, doesn't like the people that use woke, and woke. But then it's the same thing when people call everyone a bigot, racist, and a Nazi. Isn't that the same? So if you have a problem with the overusage of woke, you should also have a problem with the overusage of bigots. I hate that word. I absolutely despise the word bigot now because they use it on everyone. It's so annoying. When I hear someone say, bigots, bigots, I'm like, okay, never mind. Someone else, move along. It's what it is. Thank you, Higashimasha Lazio. Meta been a crazy few days, to say the least. Great to see you live. Hope you've been well, bro. Thank you so much. Yeah, everything is fine. Thank you. And Raphael says, thank you for the donation. Have you seen the recent History Hit video where Simon Elliott shows the Roman trinkets he found on his backyard? I think you should. Yeah, for example, that's actually, thank you, Raphael. I'm gonna make a note of that. But one example, Professor Dave, that if you haven't checked, you should. Check Simon Elliott. Check his statements. Check my replies to his statements. This is my list of things, by the way. Check my responses to his statements. And then tell me that someone should trust him because of his degrees. That's my second challenge for you, Professor. Once again, I'm not being disrespectful to Professor Dave. I'm just attacking the arguments at this point. I'm not being disrespectful. But, you know, if you present an argument, we should trust authority. Well, that guy has the authority. And the stuff he pushed is insane. Insane. Like, for example, the idea that Septimius Severus was the greatest black African emperor. It's nonsense. So I challenge that idea because it's nonsense. Yes, I called it nonsense and I showed the evidence.
Bit prompted from Jimmy Corsetti, who publicly and repeatedly claimed that Flint was faking the cancer diagnosis in order to dodge the debate. Graham himself was more...
That was a mistake, I think, made by Corsetti.
Cordial about it, agreeing to the delay and wishing Flint well by tweet, and
Good.
also with Joe in his subsequent podcast appearance.
Okay.
Of course, this is because he was never genuinely interested in debate and knew that
oh my gosh, Professor Dave, you have to acknowledge when your opponent does something good. Because now you're losing credibility. You may be a great professor and a great science communicator. I don't dispute that. But what Graham did now is admirable. So the fact that you have to twist everything to show it's character assassination, now your credibility is down. I mean, if he wants, he can make a react video to this. I'll make an edited version where I cut back the parts where I speak to chat. So that would be the one that I would use if I were him, if he wants to do this. Once again, I'm not attacking him. It's not ad hominem. It's not ad personam. But guys, let's rewatch this and see what the point I'm drawing, please.
Agreeing to the delay and wishing Flint publicly and repeatedly claimed that Flint was faking the cancer diagnosis in order to dodge the debate.
And that's the fair assessment and a fair counter-argument against Jimmy Corsetti, which I agree with. Again, Jimmy Corsetti was great with me. I don't have anything against him, but this is a fair counter-argument. But look.
Graham himself was more cordial about it, agreeing to the delay and wishing Flint well by tweet, and also with Joe in his subsequent podcast appearance. Of course, this is because he was never genuinely interested in debate and knew that he didn't have a leg to stand on, so this development was a relief to him. But recovery...
No. You know what you should have said here, Professor Dave? Not should have said, you can say whatever you want, it's your platform, but to have the respect of people that are not... I don't have a horse in this race, I only care about the truth. Whoever has the truth... That's who I'm interested in. And it's probably a case-by-case scenario, really. Regardless, as someone who is outside this war, right, you lose me here. Because what I think you should have said, not to in order not to lose, because you're going to make the people on your side are going to be very happy. And people on the other side hate you anyways. But the people that are not in the battle, right, what I think you should have said is, and regardless of all the nonsense that he pushes, this was admirable, and I praise him for that. I commend him for that. Because it was. But now that you're twisting it, no, but actually what he did it is because of this, because he didn't have a leg to stand on, and that's, well, no, sorry, but that's contrary to what evidence appears to suggest. Evidence seems to suggest that maybe, overly so, but Graham Hancock is confident in his takes. Maybe overly confident, and that might be a weakness on his side. But no, that does not look like a man who is not eager to debate. And, I'm so glad that Flint didn't go, and that's why I was cordial about it. No, maybe he was cordial about it because he was being decent about it. And you should factor that one in. You should factor that one in. Yeah, I am neutral when it comes to factions, but I'm not neutral when it comes to facts and truth. Then I'm always on the side of truth. So if, that's what I mean, if they dig and they find an ancient Ice Age civilization, then I would be like, Graham was right all along. Don't care about the sides. However, if they disprove him completely, like I watched all the videos, and then they find new ways to date the advent of farming even at a greater degree, and it is categorically proven there was no advanced ace civilization, I will say Flint Dibble was right. I will say Professor Dave was right. He was an asshole, but he was right. I'll say that. So I'm always truth-centric. I don't care. I don't care. Oh, yeah, but those guys use the word racist. Those guys use the word woke. So what? If you're right, you're right. You know what I mean? I can still despise your technique, the way you speak about something. But then again, it's just one of those things. So this, a lot of points. He lost a lot of points here because he didn't give the intellectual honesty that would be to give credit when credit is due.
For Flint eventually came, and it was time for the debate. The debate is 4.5 hours long, so we're not going to go through every last moment. But given that this is the centerpiece of this fiasco, we do need to spend a good amount of time here. So let's dive into it.
I'm here to try to discuss with Graham and to test his lost civilization.
Okay, I need to stop it here because I always get... So I used to get claimed by Rogan. Maybe I wouldn't get claimed now because I told you I think he did whitelist me. But I do have videos already on this. So up to this point, this was really... I'm not really interested to review the debate because I already have. So if you guys want, you can check those videos. But up to this point, it's not enough to form a complete opinion on the guy. Okay? And particularly on the quality of the information he presents. I'll watch more videos. I might make a dedicated video later. But for what I can see up to this point, he seems really angry, and he has lost some credibility because unfortunately it appears to be one of those people that will use racist, white supremacist, and also this idea that if you have credentials, you're not supposed to be challenged, or that people should not be allowed to make their own mind or be exposed to both sides of the coin. No, that's very dangerous, Professor Dave, because if you do that, what happens is that, let's say that I agreed with you and I said, yes, only experts should be allowed to speak, and everyone who counters the experts and isn't an expert in that specific field of expertise, they shouldn't be allowed to speak. If maybe I'm misconstruing his position, but allow me to exaggerate it a little bit because I didn't have time to stillman his position here. But what I'm saying is, if that happened, what happens is that the likes of Simon Elliott will make statements that are categorically wrong, and then I won't be able to speak against it, and neither will you. And that does not help the pushing of truth and real science. It just creates elitism, and it creates a gatekeeping that is dangerous if what you care about is the spread of real information, because experts compromise themselves. There are experts that are compromised for political reasons, for intellectual reasons, for religious reasons, for anti-religious reasons, and for a myriad of factors that I can't even exemplify in one go. Very quickly here, just out of my head, like out of the blue. Anyways, again, I don't know anything about him as a communicator. Maybe the content is great. I'll definitely watch it more. But this reaction video, I have to say, I very much preferred the way Milo Rossi seems to be approaching this. He also tends to be a little bit strong, but that's because they are at war. But at least I see that he was more balanced, if you see where I'm going with this. All right, I want to give time to the chat now. Let me focus on the chat. I'm just going to put it in front of me. We do some chat reading for some time, and then if we have time, we'll check debunking. If not, I'll do that on a separate video, because I do want to check debunking, because his beard is glorious. I appreciate that, Staxon. Thank you very much. He says, glorious Metatron, best content I've seen in a while. I appreciate that. Thank you. Tiger Star asks, what will the next Bible video be on? Still have to decide. I was thinking of looking at the flood and how it's discussed in other, for instance, Sumerian and Akkadian I always mispronounce that word. Texts. So either that or we'll have to see. I still haven't decided. We'll see. Let's see. Man, a lot of comments. Appreciate that. How many people have we got? Let me see the numbers very quickly. Can we see the numbers? Oh, yeah, because I can't really see how many people I've got on Twitch right this second. Let me see if I can open the doc. Stats. There we go. We have... Oh, gosh, it's giving me CPU usage. I think I clicked the wrong one. It's fine. It doesn't matter. How many I have, whatever number I have, I'm happy to have you here, guys. And when it comes to YouTube, I can check it. 700 concurrent viewers. That's actually very high for YouTube. Very good. Very good. That's why I see a lot of comments. Well, it's good to have you all here. Let's talk with you now. My full attention is on you. Okay. Very nice. So let me take this off. I don't need it for now. We might put it on again later. Fun fact, I'm watching it during my night shift. Hey, I appreciate that. Nice. Un abbraccione dall'Italia. Thank you so much, Percival. What a name you've got. Love it. Ti adoro, ti seguo da tanto. Spero di poterti invitare nel mio posto speciale. Bye bye. Well, thank you. Thank you for watching. I appreciate that. Italian, I guess. Hit that like button. Thank you. Shampoo sponsor when? Oh, we'll see. Wouldn't it be cool if both me and Scalagrim have like a shampoo collaboration since we're both long-haired guy? And Milo Rossi. Let's go. Power to the long hair. Let's do it. The Epic of Gilgamesh would make for an amazing Netflix show. I agree. We made a few videos on it and I love reading and through it. It's fascinating. Adia says, I was happy to see Milo give you a shout out on the Giza stuff. Oh yeah, me too. I really appreciated that. He was awesome. Very cool about it. Is this a thing, history guys and hair? Well, I guess people who are into like the medieval period kind of like the look. Plus, I'm very much into heavy metal, so I think that's what that is as well. I'm a little bit of a metalhead. Back in like when I was in my teenage years, that's all I would listen to. Lots of T-shirts, Metallica, like Ride the Lightning is still the best album to date. And then every time we play Warhammer Fantasy, we always play either epic metal or power metal. Always, whenever we have like a battle. So there is that. I'll have to like do some battle reports on my third channel, my gaming channel. I need to start doing that. Are you fluent in Japanese? Yes, I am fluent in Japanese. はい。流暢です。完璧ではないけど、話せます。日本に住んだことがありますから。Feel free to ask me to say anything. I can switch between English and Japanese effortlessly. Not a problem. And these days, when you make that statement, then people try to debunk you. So I make that statement confidently. Bingo Bongo writes Ni hao. That's Chinese, but hey, appreciate that. We're multilingual here. 我也会讲一些普通话. Let's see. I don't speak. My Mandarin is not fluent, though. I'm only conversational and it's a little rusty now. I'm much more confident in Japanese. Creepy, thank you for the donation. Hey, I'm a child development specialist and would love a video on some ancient toys and games from Rome. You know, I love that topic. It's fantastic because, yeah, we do have archaeological findings, and we also have, even in the military context, believe it or not, because you have to remember that depending on the period, sometimes the legionaries were not allowed to marry, but there were situations in which they were, and there were situations in which they still did, unofficially, and some had kids, and sometimes they would buy or get toys for their kids back home, or sometimes their family would go with them. It very varies if it's early republic, late republic, early empire, late empire. The organization of the Roman military machine changes a lot. So yeah, we do have that. We do have toys, and I think they are fantastic because they really connect us. These everyday things, they really connect us with people in the past. Thank you, Bazab42, gifted 1 Metatron membership. I really appreciate the generosity. Thank you very much. And Jimmy was gifted the membership. Will you look at that? Thank you, Baradoc, for the donation. Thank you. I found Professor Dave's video so angry in his video that I distracted from his points. He got lost in the weeds. Yeah, I think he was just too mad. Maybe he'll make a different video when he'll readdress it, but after he has followed the advice of the monk in morphine, aka Metatron. I did not give that name to myself. I was given that name by the public. Anyways, regardless, everyone is free to say whatever they want. Project Neo Tokyo, Metatron claims he can speak Japanese, but is it true if you consider that I think he's racist? Yeah, you know, I wouldn't expect, but then again, no, they wouldn't use the racism against me, because the people that push the racism, they say the Japanese are white adjacent. So the simple fact that I speak Japanese, it doesn't give me a free pass. So apologies for that. It is what it is. おかしいよね。頭おかしい、その人たちは。Yeah. Gavin says I'm not fluent in Mandarin either. Hey, you and me then. We need to step up our game with Mandarin. 可能我们可以去中国，我要去看北京，比如说北京、上海。And then what else? What else do I like? 西安，当然，就是我们可以一起学汉语。Let's do that. Let's go. Let's go. Do they also say the Chinese are white adjacent? Not that I know of. I think they do it with the Japanese, because I think a lot of white people love the Japanese in the West. And of course, the people that call everyone racist are very American-centric anyways. Like Alec Gunter that was saying, oh no, because white racism. So racism against white people doesn't matter because it's not systemic. And I'm like, well, it's still deplorable. Can you say that? Whether we agree on systemic or not. But then again, systemic means that you're only looking at America, because, and then when he says white people have had it too good for too long, white people who? Like, do you know how good people in freaking the rural areas in Holland had it? Like, what on earth? Like, this guy is out of his mind with his ideas, and it's because it's an ideologue. And it's someone who's been radicalized. And people who have been radicalized do not recognize the illogical positions that they make. I think all forms of racism are wrong. It doesn't matter if they're systemic, not systemic. They're wrong. We should be able to agree on that. And the moment that we don't, then I think you're justifying anti-white sentiment. And I'm not okay with that. Just like I'm not okay with people saying horrible things about black people. And it's so funny that, like, I'm a Sicilian. Sicily is so mixed, is insane. We live this close from Africa. So I've had but you can't even say it. Like, I cannot say that I had actual black friends. I can't say it because you're using the thing that racists say, so I can't say it, even though it's true. And I went to church with whatever. I can't say it. Fine. Let's remove it. Otherwise, they say that I'm using the excuse. That's fine. But what I can say is that someone who only knows the American perspective and has never set foot, neither in Europe or specifically in Sicily, does not know how we feel about other people with different skin tones than ours. In a country that is extremely, has a past. We've got it all. We've got the Nordics, right? During the Norman conquest. In fact, a lot of Sicilians are blonde with blue eyes and very white skin. You've got Sicilians that look like me, so white skin and black complexions. You've got Sicilians that are very dark skinned, more like similar to some Semitic people, maybe, like that kind of brown. And then you've got a lot of black people in Sicily. Like, it's full of black people. But yeah, it is what it is. What can I say? It is what it is. You should make a series of elf armor. Yeah, I mean, that sounds old school. I'll probably do it on my gaming channel, Metatron's Protectorate. Because anything gaming related or fantasy related, well, fantasy I still do it a little bit on Metatron Central. But if it's gaming related, usually goes into that specialist channel, if you will. Italy also has a problem. I'm Italian too. Yeah, I mean, of course, racism is everywhere. You know, racism is everywhere. But then again, just having a problem, and also it depends on the area. There are different levels of racism. But yeah, sure, racism happens everywhere. Racism is a problem. But racism cannot be combated, cannot be attacked with racism. You don't fight fire with fire. So if anything, you have to fight all forms of prejudice based on skin and ethnicity if you really are an anti-racist. But unfortunately, a lot of people that call themselves anti-racists, they're racists in reverse. And that's a thing. It is a thing. It doesn't matter that they gaslight you into saying, no, no, no. It is what it is. It just is what it is. Let's just, quoting Martin Luther King, let's judge people by the contents of their character. But that makes me a fascist in the position of the likes of my haters. So what can I say? It's one of the situations. Let's see. Have you done any videos on prehistoric Americans? No, but it is a fascinating. If I can find an expert that I can collaborate with, since it is outside my area of expertise, if I can collaborate with someone and my team, but if I find someone like an expert that does that, that would be fascinating to do. Absolutely. Italians are racist against people that break their spaghetti noodles before cooking. Yes, but the word is not racism. The word is, oh, there is a word for it. Righteous indignation. Boom. How about that? How about that? Because the real racists are the anti-pasta people. Those are the people. Yeah. Yeah, haters are gonna hate. You're right, Legetu, that's what they do. Joes, thank you for the support. How does it feel to be exposed as a fake Italian you are? Greetings for Costa Rica and keep up the amazing work you do. Yeah, on my second channel I actually showed another guy who claimed that I'm not Italian. He said I'm American, which already shows the failure of his ability to recognize accents, because I think no one would think that I'm a native American, I was about to say, that I'm a native English speaker with an American accent. I mean, if you say that, it means you have no idea what you're on about, because my accent is a bastardized mixture of Italian and some British. That's how I would say it. Like, you can still tell I'm Italian, you can still tell I'm not a native speaker, but I think if you really pay attention, particularly in certain topics, then people will be able to say, oh yeah, this guy probably picked up his English in in England, which is what happened. If you're good with your ear, I think you can tell that. But still, if you're an English from England, you'll probably be able to be like, yeah, I can tell that, but still I can tell Metatron is Italian, and that's absolutely fine. But what I'm saying is, someone saying you're not really Italian, you don't speak Italian, you don't know Sicilian. It was so funny. He said, you can't know Sicilian because there aren't enough resources online. I'm like, you absolute imbecile. I was born there. What on earth? Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm not a Native American. No, Austin. I can do the braid though. Some Native Americans do that, right? They have the long braid, which I think is really cool. I could do that. I think I have long enough hair to do it. It's a very good point, Diogo. You say racism is never going away completely. It's inevitable. But the best we can do is to make it norm to just look down on it with a disappointed shake of head. That's how it used to be. Diogo, I think what people are doing is that by calling everyone a racist, now they are generating racism. They're making racists, because people now will do it just out of spite, because they feel it's unjust. When you're not racist and you're labeled a racist, it makes you angry. And some people like me will still remain moderate and say, yes, but I'm still against racism. But there will be people who are not good at restraining themselves, and they will become racist because they've been attacked so much that then they actually... they are pushed, they are radicalized. It happens. So what I want to say is, and do tell me if you agree, guys, but I remember back in the 80s and the 90s, mostly the 90s, if someone told me, oh, you see that guy over there, he's a racist, my reaction would have been, oh, really? What did he do? Like, I would squint my eyes. I would be like, what did he do? Now, if I hear someone saying that guy's a racist, I roll my eyes. I do this. Right, yeah. And maybe he is a racist, but I don't know, because the word is diluted in its meaning, which means it lost potency. As a linguist. And there you go. That's very good. Yeah, Drumstick Empire. I think your analysis, your assessment of my accent is absolutely fair. 100%. Oh, I can't Metatron, cultural appropriation. Is it? You know, that's another thing I don't understand. Imagine that I wish, to be honest, to meet, what do you call it, a Native American. I would love to do that because I think it's fascinating. Like if I could meet and become friends with a Native American, and I think I met one once in England, but we didn't really get to hang out. But imagine if I did and we were friends, and imagine that we're going to his house. Wouldn't it be cool, since I have long hair, as a form of respect, to be like, you know what, I'm gonna do it too. I wanna do the braid. Also to mention, I would like to mention braids were used in Europe, so it's fine. We can use them. It's not a cultural appropriation. But even in that situation, why shouldn't we look at the heart of a person, the real intentions, not what it looks like? So if you're doing it because you hate them and then whatever, then I get it. But if you're doing it as a form of respect, maybe before saying, I know you were joking, by the way, but some people will not joke. They will say that. Maybe look at the intention behind a person, not, holy folk. I know I mispronounced it, but I'm not going to read it that way. Calling someone a Nazi used to mean something. Gosh dang it. I know. I find it so funny when I was accused of being a fascist, because here's the thing. My grandfather was a colonel, major, in fact, colonel major, I think it was. I'll have to ask my dad again for the exact, I think it was a colonel major in the army and in the 30s and 40s. And he refused, because he was a high person in the, I think he was in the Mountain Artillery Corps. And what he did is that they asked him, the fascists were in power, of course, and they said, well, you need to go and get into your personal, you need to join the fascist movement. And he refused. And now refusing to join the fascist movement during fascist Italy is a very courageous, in fact, up to a certain point, I would say, the man stood the ground, but it was dangerous. So some might even say reckless thing to do, but he did. I respect him for that. I never met him, unfortunately, but I do respect him for that. And so he said, no, I'm not going to do that. So what they did, the fascists, is that they didn't fire him or anything because they needed military personnel, and he was really good at his job. But they stamped on his military booklet, personal military booklet, they stamped the word anti-fascist. In the 40s, specifically 1942 or 1943, something happened in Italy. And when the Italians shifted and they said, you know what, we don't want to have anything to do with the Nazi, and there was that massive radio announcement that basically we were shifting alliance, if you will, and that's why like Sicilians were like, yeah, come in. When the Americans arrived, then Sicilians didn't fight or anything. They're like, yeah, please come in. When that happened, the Nazi from Germany soldiers went around northern Italy to try to get as many anti-fascists as possible, and that's when they arrested my grandfather and sent him to, what's the name of the very famous concentration camp? I don't remember it now, but I think you can tell me. Super famous, one of the most famous ones, because that's where they sent him. Not Auschwitz, the other one. Yeah, no, it wasn't Auschwitz, the other one. Gosh, why can I not remember it right now? Dachau, thank you, Drumstick, yes. So he was sent to Dachau and spent 2 years in there with his wife, my grandmother, not even knowing if he was dead or alive. And the only reason why he didn't die, although it must have been horrific, but the only reason why he didn't die is because in 1945, the Americans liberated it and they saved my grandfather's life. And that was before my dad was born. So I owe it to the Americans, which is why I will get my American citizenship proudly. I owe it to the Americans that I even exist, to the Allies. And therefore, when someone calls me a fascist, without even knowing that someone who is a keyboard warrior, that's your anti-fascism. You're like, I call everyone fascist, that's Alec Gunter. I call everyone a fascist, and that's your courage. But my grandfather stood up against the fascists, and he paid the price for it. So when you call me a fascist, I laugh at you. I laugh at you. So that's how it is. And yeah, that's the story. Maybe I'll make a video about it one of these days so I actually get all the actual dates, because I got all the dates. I mean, my dad clinged onto that discussion. And yeah, that's how it was. So yeah. Hello, Metatron. Just want to say I enjoyed your company. Thank you very much, Raiden Cage. It's really good to have you here. Really good to have you here. Yeah. If someone were to ask me, I'm against all forms of ism, whether it be Nazism, fascism, or communism, particularly when you talk about Stalin. I'm like, no. And that's me. Let's see. That would be a very good video. Yeah, I should make a video because it's a personal family story. So I think, and it's real. It's true. It happened. People don't really understand the context. Yeah, they don't. They really don't. Let's see. I'm reading the comments. There are a lot of comments. Appreciate that. Metatron looks more like Columbus than a Native American. Well, sure. Cristoforo Colombo was from Genova. Some people mistakenly think he was Spanish because he worked for the Spanish crown. But no, he was from Genova. He's Italian. So, yeah. You should do a video about the history of pasta. You know, that's a wonderful idea, and I am gonna copy paste it in the idea suggestions, the links. However, I have to say that unfortunately lately the system is not helping that type of video. So if I make it, I'll just make it for the core, like for you guys that like that kind of stuff. But when it comes to actual YouTube, it won't get views. Ares Moriendi, thank you for the donation. You say, I dislike intolerant people and the Irish. Slante, now why? The Irish are great. The Irish are cool. And we've got Raiden Cage, who's been a member for 10 months. Man, that's dedication. Hello, Metatron. I just want to say enjoyed your company. Yeah, that was the right. I forgot to say that you had been. I like that. Thank you. Hodges says, like from India. Thank you. Thank you very much. I love your food. I love Indian food. Love your food. You know, my cousin was born in India. She's a Sicilian. She's Italian, otherwise. She just happened to be born in India because her mum was a hostess, so flight attendant. And so she just happened to be born in New Delhi. And then, as an adult, my cousin Irene, she decided that she felt a connection with India. And so she moved to India, and she actually got a degree in Hindi. She learned the language. She speaks it. And then she moved to Calcutta, and she learned the language over there, which she always tells me what it's called, but I forget. Whatever. So she spoke a second. She learned a second language that is spoken in India, because in India you got lots of different languages. Of course, India is massive, and I think they gave her citizenship ad honorem to my cousin. So I always thought that was cool. No, it wasn't Tamil. It was something else she learned. Cannot remember what it was, to be honest, but she picked it up in Calcutta. She spent like, no, it wasn't Punjab. Goodness gracious, I don't remember what it was. You'll have to ask her. By the way, my cousin does help. She's part of my team because she has a PhD and a postdoctorate in anthropology. So she helps me she's part of my team. She's great. Anytime I have questions about India, I ask her because she's very professional about it. Hey, Sir Phil, thank you so much for your generous donation. Hey, Meta, watched your videos for a long time, love the work. Wanted to ask about Nordic shield maidens and if they were real or not. There is a short video by Mr. History about shield maidens were real or not. Would love your insight on it. So we started preparing that video, but we didn't find enough evidence to make a definitive statement. It's maybe, but I need to do like good video about it. In fact, wait, because I'm going to give you a very short, brief answer to what is my current opinion, but it could change because I still haven't had time to review all evidence and counter evidence. But just to give you a little bit, my idea is that they are not likely to have existed when it comes to an idea of an actual functional professional core, like that they would have been significant numbers within the given population, the given population clusters in among the Norse. But it is also possible that some Norse women did fight, did know how to fight, and that I would. And so, could we call them shield maidens? Sure. So that I'm open-minded about. Although we have to be careful because sometimes there are findings that, like there was this finding in I think it's in Sweden. Don't quote me on that. But there is this finding in Scandinavia And basically they found these bones of this woman, and they were buried next to shields, axe heads, and a sword. So people were like, wow, is this shield maiden? And we were fascinated about it. Well, to be honest with you, you know me, I always tell you how things are. I don't care if it gives me backlash. There were two schools of thought. One side of academics said, wow, look, it's a possible woman warrior. The other side said, wow, look, it's a transgender person in freaking 900 AD who was a female who identified as a man. Obviously, the latter was nonsense. In that context, it was nonsense. But the idea that she could have been a woman who knew how to fight was not something completely wrong. So, yeah, I've already debunked it. I have a video about it. But the idea that she... And again, on that video, I do specify that I do believe that there were probably people that suffered from gender dysphoria. But from that, to build a leap that just because you see a shield, a sword, and a woman, female bone bodies... bones, do you automatically say it's a transgender? And no, you're projecting modern identity politics at that point. Sorry, but unless you if you find a piece of paper that says I was born a woman, but I identify as a man, that's different. Okay, but until you find that, and even then, it would have to be, I would accept it. I'd be like, guys, we were wrong. I mean, they had these ideas all along, but still from the perspective of a Norse person, so it would have been different. Not perfectly overlapping, never perfectly overlapping. Heck, even being homosexual from the modern time and from ancient Rome is different. The only thing in common that they have, or the major common aspect, is that they are same-sex attracted. That's about it. But if you go to back in time and you ask an homosexual person in ancient Rome, so what do you think about gay marriage? He would look at you like, what? Because, or like, what do you think about having an open boyfriend who is socially under you, but you're not the active part? Like, they would think like, what are you talking about? That because they belong to a different reality. In fact, the past is alien territory. The past is another planet. Really, that's how different it is. Anyways, regardless of that. Of course, I'm also against people that try to delete and say gay people didn't exist. That's nonsense. But how many people say that, to be honest? If someone says it, point it to me and I'll debunk them. Of course, they existed. They've always existed. And so if someone was gay, like I strongly believe that Michelangelo was gay because we reviewed the evidence. And believe me, when I reviewed the evidence, my team and I, we're brutal. If we found it was all nonsense, I would have made a video. You know I did. I would. You know I would have. I would have made a video and I would have said, the activists say that he was gay, but he was not. He was straight. And I would have done it, and I don't care about the backlash. But no, we reviewed the evidence. We saw the Italian, specifically the medieval Italian, the way he writes his personal notes, the way he described his... and he was like, yeah, you know what? I can't say it 100%, but I think Michelangelo was gay. I honestly do. And so I did say it, and I actually pissed off some people that called me woke, but at that point, I don't know what to tell you. You know, I don't know what to tell you. One day I'm a Nazi, and one day I'm woke. I don't know how it works. How can I be a woke bigot, an alt-woke bigot, white supremacist, racist, fascist, communist? I don't know. I don't know how I managed to do that, but I do. Regardless, going back to the bones, because that's interesting. So the first thing I'm going to see is, you know, this could be a female warrior. But the reality is, it wasn't. And I say unfortunately because I would have found it interesting. I would have found it interesting to, you know, to have more evidence of the idea of shield maidens. I always make shield maidens in games. I like it as a concept. But no, the reality is that the museum, we found a statement by the museum that confirmed that the bones had been mixed and it was impossible to know which bone sets and which belonged to which funerary kit. So it was all false. Isn't that a shame? But now imagine how stupid all those people that built all of the castles of cards on top of it. Whether it be people that had to say, oh, now your masculinity is attacked by the fact that this is a real woman. I'm like, no, I want to see that. I want to see it. But then again, it wasn't the case. So the reality is that just the truth matters. That's how it is. So, yeah. Oh, that's so funny. Someone just said alt-left, alt-right. No, I'm spacebar. Oh, that's funny. That's funny, but careful, they'll call you a fence sitter. I don't understand the fence sitting accusation. I know some people are fence sitters, but a fence sitter is someone who doesn't take a stand. If you may take a stand, and I do, like if people ask me, even on political matters, if people ask me and say, what do you think of this? I'll say it. I'll say, that's what I think. That's my stance. So how am I fence sitting? If I'm just not willing to say, I will always agree with one side and I will always disagree on the other side, regardless of the evidence. That's all I'm doing. It's not that it's not that deep. It's really not that complicated. Yeah, that's what you're saying, Morning. You say moderation is when you're afraid to make a commitment. I make commitments. I'm pro-traditional marriage. I'm a Christian, and I say that standing still. But I'm also all about freedom. So I think people should be free to make their own choices as long as they're consenting adults. I think I'm making pretty definitive stances here. So it's just one of those things. Both sides cannot be right? Someone is wrong, someone is right, but it's a case by case. Oh, you were joking. Sorry, man. Oh, sorry. My bad. My bad is a nice American expression that I like using. Just like I like saying debris rather than debris. Naturally, I would say debris. There is a lot of debris. But I like debris more. I think it sounds better. What do you guys prefer, debris or debris? Tigerstar asks, when will the video on whether communism was left or right wing come out? See, there is a problem with that video. I could make it just a troll. But the problem is that the previous two videos, the one on fascism and the one of Nazism, were based on the fact that there are contrasting positions on it. And whether you approach it from the European spectrum or whether you approach it from the American political spectrum, you will have, and that's a fact, people that will say it's one side, it's the other side, and that's why I kind of looked at it, right? But with communism, I don't think anyone says that communism is right-wing. Well, now that I think about that, I do remember one of my detractors at one point did say that Stalin was right-wing. Yeah, maybe I should make that video. It is what it is. Legato says, my pronunciation of words sometimes changes depending on the sentence. Yeah, I mean, sure. Sure. Yeah, so debris, what else? I do say aluminium. I don't say aluminum. Aluminium. But the only reason why is, apart from the fact that, of course, I picked it up first, but I do remember that I was hanging out with Americans, so I also heard, I was exposed to the word aluminum as well, but in Italian, it's aluminio, so it's closer to me. Aluminium is closer to aluminio than aluminum. Aluminum. So I think that's why I prefer that. So yeah. Why do people get stuck projecting present ideas into all historical situation? It's political messaging, and that's what it is. We have English and stupid English. Now, I really think I like both accents, to be honest. The only accent that I have a problem with is Alabama, because my wife's grandparents are from Alabama, and so is her mum. But her mum, you can tell she's from Alabama, but I understand her perfectly. But her granddad, so my mother-in-law's father, I can't understand a word he's saying. I don't understand him. The only thing I understood when I went there last time was the name John Wayne. That's all I understood. Everything else to me sounds like, you're from Alabama? I love that, man. I love it. Don't get me wrong. You guys rock when it comes to, like, what is it called? The dinner, like Thanksgiving or Christmas. Whenever we go, the food is fantastic. I love it. Like the homemade mac and cheese, all that stuff, it's great. But man, I can't understand the man. I don't know what to say to him. Like, I don't even know if I'm supposed to laugh or not, because to me it just sounds down. That's what it sounds to me. And then occasionally I will recognize John Wayne. I think he's obsessed with John Wayne, by the way, because I hear him saying that. At one point, I think he was trying to explain to me the rotation, because he's a farmer. And he was trying to explain to me how rotations work when he jumps from cotton to sweet corn. I haven't got a clue. No idea. Nod and laugh. Yeah, sure. And I think he doesn't understand me either, because I have an accent. So we don't understand each other. We're like, I say something, blah, 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 and then he's like, no, 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 and I go, oh, it's right, no, 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 and that's it. It's just it's a mess. It's a mess. Yeah, crop rotation. He was trying to explain that to me, which I appreciated. I wish I understood it. I mean, sometimes my wife would translate. I need a translator. Isn't it funny? I don't need a translator for Japanese. I can easily engage with Japanese speakers, and we can speak no problem. But I need a translator to understand my, yeah. My granny's from Sicilia. Where about, bestia? MB Sulo says, I'll be the first to say Metatron is the most open-minded historian I've come across. It's honestly a breath of fresh air. I appreciate that. Thank you. Trying to be. I appreciate that. The only thing I'm not open-minded towards is pineapple and pizza. That, sorry, but I've been fully radicalized and I will not tolerate it. I don't even tolerate your freedom at that point. No, not even freedom. And I'm all about freedom, but not pineapple and pizza. I'm sorry. Yeah. Did you ever get Nihongo Jozu in Japan? Of course. The first moment you step your foot in Japan and you say, Konnichiwa, it's immediately, Nihongo Jozu desu ne. I love that they usually precede it with, They do that. The Japanese do it. And then the, I studied it. It's more common, this exclamation sound. I noticed it's more common on females than it is on males. And then they have like a sound to it. And there is an evolution. Yeah, come in. Hello. Hi, the wife is here. So, like, yeah.
I forgot that you were wearing red and you're very Mario.
I am, yeah, it's in honor of Mario because of the documentary that I've just, oh, by the way, I'm going to put the link again, guys.
It's such a good documentary, you guys.
Thank you. I'll put the link again. I made
You look so good in red. You should wear this more often.
I appreciate. I still prefer blue, but I will wear red for you.
I'm wearing blue.
Oh, yeah, blue and red. Look at that.
See.
Look at that.
Hi, Chad. Hello, everybody.
Hello, hello. Hello to the wife. The redhead.
Yes.
Someone says, so desu ne.
So desu ne.
So I was telling, he loves my rings. I'll put the link to the rings again in a minute,
my God,
but
the rings are so cool.
I'm wearing it now. Yeah, it's my own rings that I'm making collaboration. They all say hello, wife. Hello, good evening,
everybody.
wife.
Hello, wifey.
Yeah, based wife guy Metatron. Appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, I'm a married man.
I'm your resident Mrs. Beldam.
I don't know what that means.
Or Beldam, the one off of Powerpuff Girls.
Oh, yeah, maybe, vaguely.
Because I'm like, you can't see my face.
Yeah. The Mrs.
Yeah.
And by the way, you're missing out because she's gorgeous, but you can see her on my gaming channel because we do a lot of collaborations there. And the other day, I even convinced her to keep the braids.
That's it, cerebellum.
Cerebellum,
Yeah.
I see. Cool. Wow. Hello, Joan of Arc. Joan d'Arc.
You know what, sunny side up, I am very supportive about his new boyfriend.
Oh yeah, my new boyfriend, exactly. Did you know that I was accused?
So no worries.
Yeah.
Oh, Beldam is a Pokemon. No, I know that. That's what I was thinking of for a second.
I need to tell the rest of the chat. You should check my game in my language channel, Metatron's Academy, if you want to see what she means by the accusation that I received that I have a boyfriend. Yeah.
Best boyfriend.
Yeah, he's cool. He's cool though. Evil Dia is fun. He's a fun guy. One of these days we need to play something all together, like maybe stream it.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
That would be fun. I was also telling them about how much I don't understand your grandfather when he speaks.
Oh yeah.
That to me just sounds. Yeah. It just sounds. That's what it sounds.
Wait, how does it go?
That's what it's.
Oh my God. No, I have to be there and like translate. It's so funny because usually when we get there, I have to go to the bathroom. So like I'll go to the bathroom. And
that's a problem.
I'll be like, oh shit, I gotta go back out there because he's not knowing what the hell's going on.
Last time she went to the bathroom, he tried to explain to me crop rotation.
And it's like, it's not just my papa. Like I think you have a hard time, and they have a hard time understanding you.
Yeah.
Which I don't understand why.
Well, I have an accent. It's fine. I mean, they're not used to it.
Yeah, but like. Yeah, he sounds like a banjo.
He sounds like
Grandpa's a banjo for sure. That's it.
And he's a little deaf.
No, he's like super
deaf.
Yeah, he's
so
really deaf.
he has also not. It's not just a matter of the accent, because I understand their cousins and they have the accent.
Except for Jared.
Except for Jared, but it's also the fact that because he's deaf, then he doesn't enunciate right, and so that makes it even harder for me. It's like a level boss. But yeah. So it's one of the things. Are you making the?
I've already made it. I was gonna see if you were hungry.
Made what?
I.
The couscous?
No.
No?
No, I made the pasta.
Oh, well, great. Yeah, I'll have the pasta in a bit, but not right now. I'm not going to continue for too long. I'm going to continue a little bit, and then I'll stop and I'll eat the pasta.
Okie dokie.
And so we're going to do that.
Are they from the Appalachian area? They're from Alabama.
Yeah. Sorry. All right, guys. I'm going to give the link to my own rings if you want to check them out again, because these are good. We produced them, and I know the first one you see when you click is the silver one, which is, but the bronze one is also there, and it's a little more affordable if you're on a budget. But for those of you who do buy the silver, and some people bought the gold ones, believe it or not.
That was wild.
Thank you, because that supports the production and makes the channel, maintains the channel independent and strong, regardless of nonsense that happens sometimes with the algorithm.
Oh man, YouTube's weird.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a constant,
I want to start playing. So eventually, you guys,
Yeah.
I'm gonna start playing Diablo.
Diablo 4.
Diablo 4.
We can play it together, and we're gonna post it on the gaming channel.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Copy and pasta. Ooh, from now on, I'm gonna say copy and pasta instead of copy
Are
paste.
you gonna disown your kid if they broke pasta?
I don't know, man. No, as long as they don't put pineapple on pizza, I'm cool. I'm cool. Inkpenification, thank you for the donation. I wonder if the Metatron can understand the new... wait, I know how to read it. Newfoundland accent? Newfoundland? You don't read it, because I used to read it Newfoundland, and people will... Yeah, but people said, Metatron, you don't even know. So I think it's a case of vowel core shortening, like when you say cupboard instead of cupboard, right?
Interesting.
And so I think it's Newfoundland accent.
Where's that?
I have no idea.
In a new land.
Yeah, that they found.
Yes.
Yeah. And Taekwondo guy, why was my message redacted? It was about just language. I don't know, man. It's the system. I didn't do it. What? This? Okay. I'll explain this. I can explain it to you. You want to explain it? Or should I explain it?
That my accent's weird.
You should read it, though.
Your wife's accent is weird, or the way they speak. I don't know how to explain it, but sometimes she sounds oh my god,
She puts on the accent for fun, but she's good at doing it. Yeah.
What you? I'm just a Brit in disguise, honestly.
Yeah. So yeah, no, she likes joking with her accents, and she's pretty good at putting them on. And but she's American, so she's.
No, I'm American. I'm from Tennessee.
Yeah. And but sometimes you do switch into a little bit of a. Usually you speak like general American, like accentless, but then sometimes you do get the southern accent back.
If I go to Alabama, because they don't understand me unless I talk with unless I talk with a southern accent.
Yeah.
They don't understand me, and I'm just like. Yeah, I went to, the store the other day, and he's like, huh?
Yeah, but how do you say it? How do they say it? Oh, well, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't want to put you in the spot.
I went to yonder store the other day, and then I got me some apples, and then I went out to the yard, and I got I have to do a southern accent.
That's great. I love it. Snoopy, thank you for the donation. Metatron, please check out Heroes and Legends channel sometimes. I think you will find it something you would like. Oh, and all hail Pompey, guys. It's when Pompey said, we raised both arms. Glory to Pompey. All right, so let me copy paste this.
But no, when it comes to the British accent, I literally watched so much Zoella,
and creators, in general.
When I was younger, that I literally just started copying her accent. So her accent is the only one I can do.
Yeah, sure. And I know sometimes you do the Mockney well, which is like when you're not a Cockney but you put on a Cockney accent, they call it a Mockney.
Oh, maybe.
And I think you do it well. And everyone, glory to Pompey. Thank you.
And there was at a time where I watched a lot of Eleanor Neal, which she is like a true crime girly, and she is from Yorkshire.
Oh yeah, that's a completely different accent, the Geordie accent.
And I at first I hated her accent, but as I started watching it, I was like, oh, this is kind of nice. Like it's just different. Like I grew to really like it.
Yeah, no, I do have like a tier when it comes to English accents. And there are accents that I like more and accents that I like less. But I don't think there is one single English accent that I despise. I like them. Maybe it's because, I don't know, I like everything. I don't know what to say. Thank you, Companification. You've been very generous throughout this stream. Newfoundland is in Canada. Well, it makes sense that they found some land that is new in Canada. So did I pronounce it right? Newfoundland? Maybe, yeah. But doesn't England have like 10 accents? Oh no, England has got a lot of accents. Yeah. And then if you kind of widen, make it broader, and you say British accents, then you extend it. You extend it because Great Britain particularly, involves areas that are not England. And so there's that. And then you can add then Scottish accents, Welsh accents, and then UK, British Isles. It's fascinating. Love it. Even London has a lot of accents. Yeah, but London is massive, so that checks out. Makes sense. So,
all right, you guys, I'm gonna go.
Okay. Well, I'll see you in a little bit, and then I'll eat the pasta.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here.
Okay. Good to see you, Chad. Bye. Have a good night.
You're saying bye. Good stuff. So I was telling you about the Japanese and the sounds they make. I noticed that when they express this surprise, but it's not because they're really surprised, they do it out of politeness. So if you tell them, if they ask you, Nani jin desu ka? They ask you, where are you from? And you say, Italia jin desu. Then often, particularly girls, would say, he. They do this. And then imagine that you continue the discussion, continue the conversation, you talk about other things, and then you start saying, and a lot of us do it. Like and when I say us, I mean Western people that love Japanese. We tend to do that. We get good, and so we like the attention. We like it. I think a lot of language people, regardless whether they're Western or not, we like the attention, and so we will continue to tell them stuff. Oh yeah, and I do this as well, and I do this other thing, and then they go, yeah, exactly. They go, he sugoi, but then the he goes up. They go he, so they go up until they reach a maximum, and then the next evolutionary stage is this. And I mean it. I studied this. That's how it is. Prove me wrong. So yeah. Now I use the a little bit because, I mean, you live there, you will pick it up. But I try not to use it too much because honestly the Japanese spam it. They do spam it. Yeah. So yeah, and then they have their own mannerism that I love. Because again, 4 years in Japan, I spent quite a bit of time there. And before that, I used to live with the Japanese in, university sort of classmates and roommates at university. One was Japanese, one was Chinese. I used to practice both languages that way. And yeah, you notice the mannerism oftentimes when they go like, sumimasen, and then they apologize a lot. Once I actually questioned a Japanese. I kind of confronted him in a nice way. This happened in Japan, but I asked him, "Nande ayamaru? Why are you apologizing?" And he loved it. He laughed his head off because I think no one ever asked him. Because to them, he's like, "Oh, sorry, can you help me?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, sure, I'll help you." Sumimasen. So they say sorry. Then you give them a gift. And then they say thank you. Yeah, thank you is arigato. But they will say, sumimasen when they receive. Because they say sorry. They apologize. Because it's just a way of being very polite, I suppose. Because they're taking something from you. Even when you pay them. They will apologize for it. Because they're taking money from you. And so the amount of apologies, I had to ask the guy, why are you apologizing? And he was like, I think he broke his world. He never thought of it. And he just laughed his head off. It was great. Sumimasen. Sumimasen. So desu ne. Sumimasen. It's great. I love it. I love the Japanese. They're great. In fact, I noticed I need to find like a Japanese speaking club where I can go and just speak out of nostalgia. Nostalgia in Japanese, they say natsukashi, although it's an adjective, so you're saying nostalgic. But they do say that, natsukashi desu ne. That's what I say every time I hear someone speak Japanese or watch something in Japanese, natsukashi. So yeah. Yeah, they do that too, the mannerism. Nastin, yeah. I think they are the most polite culture in the world, but then again, sometimes they're, and I'll say that, this is something that if you're a tourist in Japan, you will not notice. You have to live there and be part of the system. And once you're part of the system, you're a worker, you make money, you've got people above you, people underneath you. When that happens, and then you see what it is that you have two types of Japanese. You have people that are genuinely humble, and they are some of the most beautiful people I've ever met. But then there are people that are only humble if you are above them in the very intricate and rigid class system in Japan. It's not a class system like the Indians have with the freaking thing on their forehead, but it is very solidly like your behavior for some people depends on the distance that you have, the social distance. And some people that I notice are like, wow, this guy is very polite, turned into a complete rude asshole when they were speaking to someone who was below them. And that I didn't appreciate. One, because I don't think anyone's below anyone. But also because it kind of showed that, oh, okay, so it's like a mask. So some Japanese are like that, unfortunately. And other Japanese are genuinely humble. And I think that the latter are the ones that embody the true spirit of what it means to be a Japanese. The others are assholes that they navigate a system for personal benefit. And they are very two-faced. I've met quite a few, and let me tell you this much. I told them to their face, something that the Japanese wouldn't do, because the Japanese don't really do that unless they're drunk. When they're drunk, they're very open. But if they're not drunk, the Japanese won't tell you what they think, usually, unless you're very close. But me, there was this guy that pissed me off so much. Man, we spoke like this close, and I got really pissed. And I was like, "Nani yattenda yo, omae?" Like, I got pissed. But yeah. So that happened. Maybe I shouldn't be proud of it. I think it was a little confrontational, but he deserved it. So yeah, comes down to respect. No, respect, sure. And I'm one of those that I think respect should be earned rather than expected. But then again, I will be courteous to you if you're courteous back. But yeah, sure. I'm not a Japanese, but I lived there and I love them. I love Japanese. Culture, language, history, absolutely love it. I dedicated 10 years to learning the language. And as I say, just like any other culture, there's pros and cons. And I think tourists that go there and stay there 3 weeks, come back and say Japan is a paradise, then explain the high level of offing yourself. If it's not a paradise. It's a wonderful country, but you have to go in there. And honestly, it will be a paradise if you have money. I'll be honest with you. If you got money, you'll have a great time in Japan. You'll be treated like a walking god. They even have a saying for that. Okyakusama wa kami da. It could be translated as the customer is a god. And they treat you like that. They do. As long as you have the money to be on the paying side, then you will have a fantastic time in Japan. So that's how it is. If you don't have much money and you have to work, then it kind of depends the kind of people you work with. Some will be wonderful and you'll have a great time. And I really hope that that's all you get. For me, I had some really good colleagues and I had some horrible colleagues. So, depends. Oh, no, of course. Yeah, Legato says confrontation, losing your temper in Japan is seen. Of course, yeah, they frown upon it 100%. Yeah, sure. And, right now, I'm very much even more pro-Japanese because of all the nuisance streamers that go there and cause havoc. And then the Japanese, as finally, they're starting to react against them as they should, because those people are absolute assholes and they are being very disrespectful to the Japanese community and culture. And that's something that I I don't tolerate that. I think it's horrible. Like what's his name, Jimmy Somali. I only remember Somali. I don't remember the first name because I literally forgot about him. But that guy was horrible. Do you need to know Japanese to visit Japan as a tourist? If you go to the main touristic areas, no. You would enjoy it a lot more if you do speak some Japanese, 100%. But even if you don't, you'll be okay in the big cities. I lived both in small rural areas and in big cities. And in big cities, you usually do find someone who speaks. Yeah, Johnny Somali, that's the idiot. Anyways, I was saying in the big cities, you do find people that speak English and people that don't. A lot of people don't, in fact, but usually, you know. But if you go to a very small town, no chance. That's when I really used my Japanese a lot, when I was in the rural areas. Although, then again, even in Tokyo, once it happened that I ran into this cop and I was asking him for directions because I needed to go to whatever the heck I needed to go. And I asked the directions in Japanese and the guy started to speak English back, but his English was terrible. So at one point I actually told him, すいません、日本語の方がいいです。日本語で話してください. Like I told him it's easier for me to understand you in Japanese. Like I didn't mean to be disrespectful, but I could not understand the directions in his English because it was too broken. So sometimes to avoid that, I would tell them, すいません、イタリア人です. Because that way, do you speak Italian? No, great, let's switch back to Japanese. So, you know, it's just one of those things. But eventually, I think I outgrew that after I was there for a year, because then they could tell that I was fluent, and so they didn't need to try English. And given, if it's someone who wants to practice their English with me, I was like, yeah, do it, sure. But telling them I was Italian was a great way to avoid that problem when I didn't want to insult their English, because I'm like, man, I feel bad, this guy's really trying, but I haven't got a clue what he's saying. He's like saying, McDonald's, McDonald's is, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't know what he's saying. So I find katakana really difficult to figure it out sometimes. And so, yeah, so I'm like, I told him, I'm Italian. And one time, I did it as a joke in Kyoto, one person tried to speak English to me. They couldn't. So I told them I'm Italian, and they started speaking Italian to me. And then I told them, oh, sorry, I'm Sicilian. And they're like, oh, and I'm like, I'm joking, we speak Italian in Sicily. And I needed to do it, though. It was just funny. Could you imagine? Oh, it would have been fantastic if he spoke Sicilian. Could you imagine a Japanese going like, Così, tafira parlo siciliano. Amone, parliamo siciliano stamattina, che m'addeviaito. That would have been wonderful to hear a Japanese do that. I heard Japanese speak Neapolitan. I still have to run into a Japanese who speaks Sicilian, but the day that happens, it will be on camera. Mark my words. Mark my words. That would have been amazing. But yeah, once I actually had a taxi driver, because, you know, educated Japanese, no. But in general, the population, they don't know a lot about the West. And I can't fault them about it because, I mean, if I ask you guys to tell me exactly the position of, I don't know, Nagoya or whatever, Sapporo, do you know it? Maybe some will, but most of the people that studied it. But people that don't know geography, I mean, we don't know Americans don't know European geography, Europeans don't know Asian geography. I mean, it happens. It just happens, unless you study it. So Japanese don't know a lot about the West, and they get confused sometimes. So this taxi driver was great, because I always chat with taxi drivers. I love it. I do it in London. I do it in Japan. I do it anywhere. And so what happened is that he asked me where I was from, because they love foreign people. And so I said, well, I'm from Italy. And then he said, Italia? And I said, Hai, Italiajin. And then he said, Ja, ego? Which meant, so English, because the Japanese leave a lot, like, to be understood from context. He meant, you're Italian, so you speak English. And I thought it was so funny, because in Japanese, what you do is that you take a country, and then you add go, which means language. So French is France, go. Spanish, Spain, go. With English, they do say ego rather than igirisu, go. But still, it was funny because my answer, I didn't want to sound disrespectful, but I said, Eya Italia, go. Which was so obvious, because and so he was like, so it's and I was like, no, it's fine, it's cool, no worries. I mean, my dad doesn't know anything about Japan, so whatever, it's fine. But I thought it was just funny because in his language sounded even more obvious than in English. It sounded so obvious that Italia go desu ne. Yeah. Definitely more, yeah, it's more coherent than Italian, English, Japanese. Yeah, English it tends to be, yeah, Japanese is more logical when it comes to that. You know what? We should say Italianish Englishies and Japanese. No, Japanian. We should be thug life about it. The main train station in Nagoya always confuses me. I've only been once, and I was driven around. Thank you, Dreamheart, for subscribing on Twitch for 4 months. Man, that's dedication right there. Appreciate. Japanian is wild. I kind of like it, though. Japanian. Do you know the Sicilian phrases that sound Japanese, Metatron? Yes, some do, but they could be considered vulgar, so I'm not gonna risk it. Well, Yoko Poko My Yoko is a good one. I play a little, but I do play. That's what it means, but it does sound Japanese. Yoko Poko My Yoko, it's so true. Oh my gosh. Why, did you know this one? Isamura is the best engineer, Japanese engineer or architect, because Isamura is a Japanese name, but in Sicilian, it means that he lifts walls in Sicilian. Isamura. Isasimura. Isamura. You're a G, brother. I don't know what that is. Filth Pig 69. I'm not insulting him. That's his name. Nippon. Yeah, you know, Nippon as a pronunciation exists, but I've never heard it. I haven't heard it once in Japan. They always say Nihon. I never heard anyone saying Nippon or Nipponjin. I always heard Nihon and Nihonjin. But it exists. It's a thing. What do you think of the Shogun TV series? I have 2 videos, John Williams. So if you Google or in the YouTube search engine, if you write Metatron Shogun, you'll find 2 episodes where I respond to that in excruciating details. But in general, it was a good series. I liked it. Let's see. Best football player. Which one? Oh, I don't remember that one. Wow, Yoko Poko My Yoko is the best football player. Yeah, you're right. St. Nicholas asks, Metron, how do I make videos upload up to YouTube more quickly? You invest in a faster connection. Make sure that you are not using Wi-Fi but your cable connected, because that usually speeds up the process a lot. And if you have a VPN, when you're uploading, you might want to disable it because that might slow it down. But yeah. You'll hear Nippon a lot on TV news. I guess it's the more formal version, yeah. Sure. Oh, you're welcome, St. Nicholas, no problem. It's interesting, though, because, like, words, sometimes it's the other way around. Like, yahari, it's an expression, and then they also have yappari, don't quote me on the pitch. But yappari, it's like, as I was expecting, that's what it kind of means. Ah, yappari, omoshiroi desu ne, yappari, ii hito desu ne, yappari, nihonjin desu ne. Like, you use it that well, as I was expecting, as expected, it figures. But the one with the P is the least formal in that case, so I think it kind of depends. But then again, things like this linguistically happen in English too, and it's so weird. Like, think about it. If I remove the T and I use a glottal stop instead, usually that denotes, yeah, yappari is colloquial, exactly, so it's the other way around, it's flipped. And so I was saying, if I remove the T and use a glottal stop, usually in English, that makes my English sound less sophisticated, and if anything, quite informal, and maybe even kind of, what's the word, low class. So if I say water, would you like some water? It doesn't make me sound very educated, does it? And yet, the exact same linguistic phenomenon happens when you say network and British. But those make you sound sophisticated. How does that even work? It's the same thing. The glottal stop is this. Uh-oh, like in the cartoons. Uh-oh. But literally, if I say network, good, network. That's my network. Sounds educated. That's my water. Well, maybe I'm exaggerating a bit, but even if I don't, water. Would you like some water? Water. Lighter. It's so weird because it's the exact same thing. It's not even a matter of, yeah, but is it at the end of words? Because when you say forgot, it does sound a little But not British, not network. I haven't got a clue. I mean, I study it, and yet it's fascinating. Hey, FC Coco, I don't know. Thank you for being here. I'm glad to have you here. Thank you. is there as many local dialects in Japan as in Italy? I haven't quantified it. I have no way to respond to that, but I would say most likely yes. And in fact, I wouldn't be surprised if they had more, because they have twice the population of Italy within the same geographic area. It's Italy and Japan are almost equally sized, but the Japanese have double our population. Anyways, they have a lot of differences. It's just that in Italy, regional variation is extremely divergent linguistically. When it comes to Japan, there is a massive difference between the East and the West. In fact, there is a line that when you cross it, it's fascinating because not only the grammar changes a bit, but the pitches are reversed. As it almost feels like they did it on purpose. Like literally, you say inu in the East, then I'm gonna say inu in the West. Like literally, it's swapped, and it's so funny because it feels like, well, then if you say it like this, then I won't. Then I'll say the other way around. But yeah, there is a specific line in between. I think whether or not they have more regional variety, I think Italian regional variety is less mutually intelligible than Japanese regional variety, because the actual two Japanese regional languages that are mutually unintelligible are Uchinaguchi, which is the language spoken in Okinawa. Impossible. I don't understand anything. They do speak Japanese with a strong accent, but when they don't and they switch to Uchinaguchi, nothing, no idea. And then the other one is the language spoken in Aomori, which is in the north. It means blue forest. That's another one that is so distant, I don't even know if it's related. Probably not. And the thing is that when you take those two, then you can oftentimes apply at least the differences between northern and southern regional languages or dialects, as we call them in Italy, probably incorrectly, but that's what we call them, I dialetti. That's how much regional varieties in Italy can be mutually unintelligible. If I speak Sicilian to my dad, and he speaks Furlan, he's from the northeast, our ability to communicate ends that moment, so we have to use Italian to communicate. Il bellissimo 10. Metatron, did you ever watch Franco and Ciccio movies? Yeah, when I was a kid, yes. Absolutely. They were both Sicilian, weren't they? Franco is definitely Sicilian. Was Ciccio Sicilian? I don't remember, but I think they were both from Sicily, yes. Hilarious. Comedians. But this is really old school. I mean, they were already old school. We're talking black and white. They were already old school when I was a kid. Very funny, though. Particularly Franco. When will I play Baldur's Gate 3 again? I need to find time to go live on Twitch and play. I've been a little busy with the rest of the channels, and also because I was producing that documentary, my very first gaming documentary on my gaming channel, and if that goes well, then I will make one on Zelda and one on, specifically on Link, in fact, and one on Heroes of Might and Magic. I hope that this one works, but up to this point, it's going really well. The one I posted today. I shared the link a few times during this live stream, but if you go to my Metatron's Protectorate, you'll find it. And it seems like it's going well. I'm very happy about it. I'll post it after we're done, which is pretty much now. I'm almost finished. But after I'm done with the live stream here today, I will share it on my community tab on Metatron to see if I can push it even further up. Give it a little go. I'll either do it today or tomorrow, but I think I'll do it today. We'll see. I'd be interested to know what kind of music you listen to. Depends on my mood, but usually it's either heavy metal or epic metal, my two favorite types. If I'm not on a heavy metal mood, which doesn't happen often, but when it does happen, then I might listen to classical music. Japanese rock, I like very much. Some Japanese pop, J-pop is also fun, but it kind of depends. That one is kind of depends. Yeah, Sabaton are good. I'm more of a Stratovarius fan and old school Metallica fan before they became commercial. So I'm talking Ride the Lightning time, like Master of Puppets, that kind of stuff. Yeah, Japanese rock is so good, absolutely. And to mention a very old band, the Lunacy. If you want to listen to Japanese rock that is old school, listen to Lunacy. You'll love it. If you're into Japanese rock, that is. But even One OK Rock, very good. Listen to them. Used to go to karaoke. So karaoke, but it's a Japanese word, karaoke. It means empty orchestra. Kara is empty in Japanese, the same word, the same kanji as karate, which means empty hand. Te is hand, so karate is empty hand, and kara, empty. Oke is orchestra in katakana, shortened, so empty orchestra is karaoke. And I used to go a lot because in Japan it's like something you do with your colleagues and friends. And yeah, I used to sing One OK Rock, Lunacy, all that stuff. It was great. Stratovaries are great. Lacrimosa, yeah. Oh, you do? Cool. Hictus. They look like cyberpunk characters. Yeah, it's that kind of old school. Yeah, Koro Shogun, you're right. Kara means black in Turkish, if I remember correctly, right? I haven't got a clue. I don't know. In Japanese, it would be kuro. That's black. Kuroi, if you want to use it, kuroi, if you want to use it as an adjective. But yeah. Anyways. Saint Nicholas says, Metatron, how powerful do I need to be before we can meet up in real life and play Warhammer? I really appreciate that. Maybe we'll find a way to play online, because I don't do meetups unless it's someone I know. And the reason is quite simple. I got a wife to provide for, and so I will never jeopardize I will never do meet and greets in public. It's just, people are just too crazy these days. But online, I'm all for it, mate. Absolutely. 100%. Zelda Breath of the Wild, for sure, I will watch all day long. I love that game. And I still have to play the second one. Anyways, guys, I'm going to go because I'm hungry, I'm starving. But yeah, we're going to do more. We're going to do more live streams this month. We're just going to do more multi-streaming with Twitch and the main, but also with Twitch and the third. So we'll do that. Do follow me on Twitch for more gaming. We'll be continuing Baldur's Gate soon. And yes, I will be playing Oblivion Remake. Absolutely, I'll play Oblivion Remake RB. But thank you, guys. Appreciate that. I'll see you tomorrow, tonight, tomorrow, whenever. And thank you for watching. Take care, and thank you for joining the stream and for the generosity. Really appreciate that. I'm just doing one last check before I... No, sorry, I do need to read this. Polymathing, thank you for the donation. I had to toss you something for that incredible answer. Love you. Love from a Furlan Canadian. Oh, that's cool. Then I'll tell you Mandy. If you know Furlan, you know what that means. And the Xenoist says America has a higher self-hating rate than Japan, by the way. Really? Oh, no. Newfoundland is in Canada. Yeah, I read that one. Yeah, I think I read all of the super chats. I don't want to be disrespectful. Oh yeah, Metatron, what is your take on Kings in general? So Raiden, sorry for reading your super chat so late. I have a video dedicated. I think they're fine. I think they're a good channel, but I haven't watched enough videos to tell you 100% that. But the videos I watched seemed to be pretty good. And then Sir Phil, I think I read that. You do good work. Thank you, Jesse. Yeah, okay, I read everything. All right, guys. Thank you. Have a good one. Good night. Have pasta. Ciao, ciao, ciao.